Hello and welcome to HLTV Confirmed Season 4, Episode 2. As you can see, we have a kind of a change up here. SPUNJ is not going to be hosting, so I'm going to jump into that role. It's going to be interesting. Expect all of the worst. And with me, it's going to be Striker, as always. We can just move off from him to the more important people in the show, which is vENdetta and k0nfig. Boys, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Fine, could be better. We could have SPUNJ here, but obviously not. So it's going to be a very interesting thing. Ven, what's up over there in the Nordics as well?
I mean, I just noticed my tagline here, and I'm slightly offended. But I guess it's true, so I can't really argue with it either.
And look, it doesn't say you're not anymore. It just says
I guess
technically.
it could have put in used to be better at Counter-Strike.
Look, I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be that offensive, I just
fair enough.
just wanted to bring attention to the fact that you once played CS:GO, and you were good at it, right?
At one point.
It doesn't matter that it's not the fact anymore, right?
But don't you, Striker? Don't you have a similar thing on your Twitter account that kind of puts you in the same category, which obviously is not true?
No, I actually don't anymore. I changed it.
So you removed. So you just put something. Okay. So we'll just jump into the Hotchair segment, which is going to be just talking to k0nfig a bit to figure out what he's been up to. Obviously, complexity move, optic going out of the picture, and all of that. So let's just start with you and the move back to NA, back to an NA org, and you're going to be living there. You're not there right now. So just how did that come to happen, and just getting that information and accepting the bid to go to complexity?
It all started with Optic and us. We kind of had a hard time because we were in a situation where we couldn't buy out a player. We couldn't do anything with the team. We were just kind of waiting for it to kind of disband and go into pieces because we tried so many different players, and then k0n left to North. And then it was the breaking point for us. We were like, God damn, this is not that good. We can't get any new players, anything. So we just had a really hard time playing, and we went to tournaments with stand-ins, and it was just a bad show and after a bad show all the time. And then MSL and I decided, and Nico decided to say to Optic that we didn't want to play anymore because we felt the circumstances wasn't good enough for us as players, and we were just waiting for it to go really, really bad. And we didn't want to destroy our own images by playing with new players all the time and playing really bad against not the best teams in the world. And then I was kind of waiting for Complexity to give me an offer, and when they gave me one, I was 100% sure that I had to take it.
What was there any doubt about going back to NA because of Danish players in particular had some bad experiences going there, coming back, Pimp, ANJ, you as well went there for a short while. So what was the thinking in that kind of a way?
I was just ready to do it again since my level of Counter-Strike has been falling for the past years, and I feel like this is the way I have to start my career again. Start showing that I can really take it serious and really focus on my own game and focus on the team and become a better player in general. And I think we have the right team to do so, to show that we are actually everyone in the team can actually win. So that's what we're doing.
So is that something, the move to NA, something that kind of helps you focus, solely on the game, considering obviously, you're living your personal life back at home. You have to be living in North America, so there, no friends and stuff like that. You basically only have the team there. So does that help from that aspect?
Yeah, 100%. It helps me a lot because from home you can always slack a little bit, but now I'm actually moving and we are playing so much every day, even though we are home right now for boot camping since we're waiting for the visas. We are playing so much, we're trying our best, we're reading the stat book every day, learning the nets every day. We're doing our very best to become the best we can be before 2020. And I feel like this is what I needed.
So, what do you think is the biggest difference if you were to take? Because you talked about how your own individual level has been kind of declining throughout 2019 and whatnot. So what's the biggest difference between k0nfig moving to NA now and k0nfig moving to NA with Optic? What's the biggest thing that's going to set you on the right track for 2020?
When I moved to NA the first time with Optic, I was still kind of up in myself, that you can say. I was kind of thinking I was the best player in the world still, and I was still thinking that I could do the same things as I did in Dignitas as in North, and now I have realized it. So I think this is the time where I'm gonna shine.
Can I just ask, how long have you guys been playing together realistically, like the full lineup?
I think we've been playing like 3 months, I think.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah,
quite a
2,
long
3
time, actually. So how are things going in game?
It's actually going really well. We're practicing against some of the best teams. Like in NA, we were practicing, and here we're practicing. But we get the better pracs here, of course. Like you get the better teams. Like in NA, there's a small like chance of you getting the best practices since there's so few teams. And here we've been playing against like Navi and OG and teams like that, and kind of we destroyed Navi. Yeah, we're playing pretty good in practice. We just have to figure a way how to show it when we go start playing officials.
In that sense, have you talked about, going over to Europe every now and again just to boot camp like before important tournaments and stuff like that?
We have we boot camping every single day when we're in NA. Like we're going to the office, everyone, we're playing from the office all the time, and then you have a PC at home. So of course we're gonna go boot camp in Europe when we have a lot of tournaments, which we're gonna have. We're gonna have a lot of tournaments coming up, and a lot of qualifiers to play. And if we have to stay in Europe for a longer time, a longer period where there's like tournaments in a row, we're gonna stay, of course.
So how does it feel? I can only imagine. Again, I've never played a single game with Counter-Strike with Blameleth, but I have with MSL and so on. But like, I can imagine there's a pretty stark contrast between the two in-game leading styles. So like, what's been the biggest difference going from, I guess, MSL teams, which you've been a part of for a long time, to now pretty much like a new leaf, a new player, new in-game leader on the scene in total? Like, how's that transition been for you? And I mean, probably the rest of the guys as well.
It's been pretty hard for me because I have to remember a lot of stuff. In MSL's teams, he was kind of micromanaging everyone, telling them where to go, telling them what nades to throw. And Blame, he's such a good player individually and in-game wise that he has to focus on himself. Like you don't want Blame to get like 10 kills in a match that doesn't make any sense when he can bomb 30 or 35 even. So I have to read my strat book every day, and it hurts, man. I have a hard time remembering the stuff. But I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to learn all this stuff, and I'm trying to micromanage Obo sometimes as well, which is pretty hard for me because
Are you playing together?
Yeah, we're playing some sides together, and Rush is also focusing on him a lot, and everyone is on the team, and we want to try to make him one of them rising stars. He's already a rising star, but he can become a lot better.
The thing about like MSL, when I hear people talking about when they play with MSL and then they leave and play with someone else, it almost feels like he kind of spoiled all of these players, like telling them what to do at every situation. And then when they go, like, even when you guys went to Optic and played the Stanislav, I was like, this isn't it. I can't do this. Like, I have to think, like, I want every part of the round to be planned out and stuff like that. So I feel like he literally like broke so many, like good parents, rich parents spoiling their kids. That's kind of what MSL did to a lot of these things.
He spoiled me a lot. He definitely did. He gave me all the easy positions and good fracking wise positions, but on T side I was running in first. I didn't care about running in first, and then we changed it up. He was running in first, I was running in second. Like I didn't have to remember a single grenade. I could just run. I could just fucking run, and that was it. But now I have to remember every single grenade, and that's hard. That's a new thing for me, but
So who
has
the new config pass in this team? Or is everybody held accountable? Or is it like Poison, you can just pick up an op and do whatever, the 4 others are just gonna play their own game? Or does everybody actually has to go through their strat book and know what they're doing in that sense?
I'm probably the one that has the choice of doing something that isn't expected, and I kind of like Dupree a little bit. And Blame has a really good like view of how he wants to play, and you kind of need to follow that, or else he's gonna get a little bit mad. Like, let's be honest.
Oh yeah, you don't want to mess with
Blame. No, if he hits your arm or something like that, it's probably broken for a few years. But yeah, like it's very different from MSL. It's very, very different.
Can you talk about the coach as well? Because from the previous complexity lineup, we haven't really heard much about Kita. So can you talk about what he does for what kind of a coach he is, basically?
Well, Jamie is a is a really, really good coach in my opinion. Like he isn't the coach that says like Christian and hits me in the head or something like that. He tries to help all the time. He wants to show you the grenades all the time, and he's making like tactics and watching games all the time. So he's like really, really focused, and I think he's a good fit for our team because he gives Blame a lot of help as well, and I just feel like he's the perfect fit right now.
What's the chemistry in the team like? I think with these teams that kind of come together, multinational from different places and stuff like that, that can be kind of a big issue. So what was that like? Bring in like 2 Danes, 2 Americans, and a Bulgarian together in the lineup.
It's a little bit hard to be honest because we have communication. Like it's very different for Poison at least, and for me and for Blame to speak English now instead of speaking your mother language, your mother tongue. Then and I think for Poison it's really hard because sometimes Blame is speaking a bit fast, and then he gets kind of lost in translation, and then he's doing his own thing, and then Blame gets a little bit mad. Like it's a little fine like way how we have to figure out how to be the best and communicate the best we can. But I think like we're gonna take some English lessons in America, so we can like optimize it, so we don't like fail on our communication. Like that shouldn't be the problem in a pro team.
Just when I was at ECS just a couple of weeks ago, I went after the event. I went to the Complexity headquarters, like the star and all of that stuff. What was that like? Can you describe it from your perspective, coming into that whole facility area, because it's pretty big, kind of weirdly big, and just coming into that, everything's like super high tech stuff. So what is that part like?
Well, the first like I remember when I joined Optic, we came to their headquarters. We got like the tiniest room. Like I was sitting with my keyboard like fully on the side, so there was no space. It was so hot, and then I came to Complexity. I was like, damn, this is serious. Like they really they care about every single one, like every single player individually. They care about how you feel. If there's something wrong, you could just tell them. Like there's so many people around us that wants to help with every single thing. If you have a problem with something, they're gonna fix it. So it's just an amazing feeling, and it just felt like home when you walked in. Everyone was so nice, and it was so professional. It's actually crazy. It's like American football a little bit.
So why didn't you actually play any of these tournaments and stuff, like qualifiers? I guess that you had to be invited to at least like a DreamHack Sevilla or something like that. Is this something you did on purpose to kind of practice and stuff like that?
We wanted to go to Summit, but then we had to get the visas done, and we can't be in America when we had to get the visas done. So we had to go home, everyone each. So I'm home, Blame's home, Poison is in Bulgaria, and the 2 Americans, they're in Airbnb in Copenhagen because we are playing. They can't really play from America. And I have to go get my visa in like before Christmas, before New Year, so I can travel back. We have a qualifier to play the 7th, I think it is, January. So we have to fly already like the 3rd because you're probably a little bit jet lagged, and we want to be ready for everything that comes in our way.
Cool. Does anyone have anything to add? I didn't really look into the chat questions.
No, for me,
for some reason, people are trashing Guardian right now. I don't know.
I think something came up. I'm guessing something came up on Reddit. I'm just gonna check that out. Just in case.
Simple is opping in FPL.
I don't know. It's minus Guardian plus SPUNJ on the op.
Okay.
Maybe that's happening. Like that's why SPUNJ isn't here. He's already practicing with
Navi. Practicing with Navi. He's in Ukraine or something.
Yeah, I guess that's more or less it for the kind of the introduction. People catching up on you, so we can go into the first or the second part of the show, which is going to be the recent news. Yeah, here we go.
I can lead.
Okay, that was it. We actually got it. We have a short like video thing, which I wasn't sure if we got.
Gotten so fancy with this show. Like I remember when it was literally just making it up on the spot. Now you got like animations and
we have a quiz coming up. You see the quiz is like super high tech. You can actually press your own answers. I mean, you won't be. We'll do it with config, so you can just watch. But
it's gonna be good.
Almost. Maybe next time if you come on, we'll do it. But yeah, recent news. This is kind of NA based. The Cloud9 thing, which is probably one of the worst run teams for the last year overall. I think no one can disagree with it. I have a challenge. Okay, $200 on the line, who can name all of the players that played in Cloud9, starting with the Boston Major win, and you have like 2 minutes.
Are you serious about this?
I am.
Can we just pick up?
Starting with the Boston one.
You can't click over there and open up HLTV. I hear you clicking right now.
Well, yeah, no, I'm using my keyboard because I pushed to talk. But
okay.
But no, since the Boston Major.
Well, I mean, we can go with the actual Boston lineup, right? Which is Tarek, Automatic, Rush, Skadoodle, and Stewie, right? That's it.
Yes.
So Stewie Bales, Tarek Bales. They had FNS for like a week and a half, right?
Yeah, we can count him, for sure.
Do we count loaned players?
We count everyone. We count
so
stand-ins, everyone that played. For
Fletcher was there.
Cajun,
Celsius, Keo, right?
Golden. No? Golden.
Yeah, Golden was in there as well. I guess he's still technically a Cloud9 player, isn't he?
I think he's just on loan to Fnatic,
Vice was there.
Refresh was there for like a stand-in type thing.
It's going too well. I'm losing my $200.
Are we doing coaches too? Because Rambo was
coaches. We'll skip that part.
Well, basically, it was Rab. Well, what was the first?
Because Valence was in, then he was out when Rambo came in, and then he came back at it again when Rambo went out.
And then there was.
But I don't think they've had more coaches.
James as well.
But did they have more members?
Whatever.
Well, Tens because he's on the bench now, right?
Yeah.
True. Jesus Christ.
Is that all? I think that's all.
What was it? What was the stats on like 39 days? Like the longest the lineup was together, or something like that.
You missed at least one player.
No,
one player. I don't know who we said, so it's hard to remember. Cajun? Did we say Cajun?
Yeah, we did say. Config said Cajun. Okay, so we had Kiyoshima. Celsius. We had STYKO on loan. FNS was there for 2 days. Vice was there.
Yeah, I think that's more or less it. Yeah, you got Refresh as well.
Yeah, Refresh.
I think that.
Oh yeah, that's the one I forgot about.
Yeah, I think collectively you got it, but
we did it teamwork.
Yeah.
So we are splitting the 200, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna go like $6.
I'm gonna send you my PayPal later.
You do that. I'll just use the HLTV PayPal. Send that over. All for the show, right?
Nice.
Martin, please help me out. But yeah, now 3 of their players left to Gen.G. Mixwell is left, Tens is left, and maybe Subrosa, who was on trial, so probably not signed to the Cloud9 team.
Have they all left, or are they still signed in some way, shape, or form? I didn't quite catch that from the.
I mean, I'm guessing they're still signed in some way.
I think they're still getting paid. Like, it didn't say that they got released or anything yet.
Because these are like fairly new signings, so I'm not sure like if Cloud9 has gone for like a year-long contract, or if it's a 6-month thing or something. But
it must have been a transfer. So like Gen.G bought out these players.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the ones who were left over, right? Like so Mixwell, Tens, and Subrosa. Subrosa was only trial, so I'm guessing that's not going to last for long anyway. But surely for Mixwell and Tens, that's got to be somewhat lengthy.
Probably, I would assume, yeah.
So I guess the saga might not be over yet, is what we're getting at.
But at least
could be another European team, you know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They did at least like lose the whole original core from that. Like no one is left from the original team, so they can actually start anew. But we also thought that would happen with the DAPS lineup. I just thought I don't even understand what happened with the DAPS. Like why did that lineup never work? Why nothing happened over there?
You mean the last Cloud9 lineup, or
the last?
The most recent one. I guess
like they said like Tens didn't fit in. Okay, but that's like one player. You can't put everything on him as a player. Right?
So I think I might have one person on this call that might back me up on this. But I think they made a mistake of not holding on to Rush.
I think Rush is a really good player. So.
Yeah, no, I think he's a super. I think anyone would be a mess in whatever the hell Cloud9 tried to portray as a team for the last year, and especially if you're in a position like Rush is, where you're not necessarily the focal point. Like if you're supposed to be the structure and the foundation of a team that's just an absolute mess, it's kind of hard to, I guess, even remotely look like in a positive light at any given point, right? So. I think he got a really bad end of the deal and just came out of this entire facade as a looking like a much worse player than what he is. It's not like Rush went from being super damn solid to just a nobody over the course of a year. Like, you don't deteriorate.
I mean,
that
it happened
badly.
over literally 2 years of, like, even in Optic, he was also like, it was the same shit in Optic for him. Started with like a good lineup, then Stanislaw left, then they had like this player, that player, they had like Jason R, then they had Hiko, then they had whoever they
and
had.
he came back
and
in Cloud9 showing that he's still a super sick player, right? So like, I feel like people should give him the benefit of the doubt. I feel like he would have been worth holding on to. I definitely think that a core of, let's say, Dap's automatic rush could have been something to work with. But yeah, no, it's.
I mean, the weird part is, right, they still kept the core. So basically, like, what that means is probably the problem was in the remaining 2 players, right?
I mean that is implied definitely with the Gen.G
exactly,
move. Like Usta, automatic, and Dap sticking together kind of implies that there was a problem with Mixwell and Tens.
Yeah.
Or
Rosa.
But Cloud9 was a sinking ship from when they started kicking players. So they left Stewie and Tarek. So I just think it's been a bad career to be on that team. To be honest, it was just kicking players left and right all the time, not knowing if you're safe or not. I don't think like.
I mean, STYKO was talking about this a lot when he was like on and off with that team, like about the situation where he was just like put into a weird spot.
It's not healthy, not at all.
Yeah.
When you look at it, like they're just a team that kind of was satisfied with not spending when everyone else. Maybe they thought that the market has been consolidated and they don't have to do like big spending anymore. But then people like Complexity come in and like just pick up things, and Gen.G and other orgs. So you have to be constantly competitive, and I guess just Cloud9 weren't happy with that. And just like the move of selling off Stewie. However that happens, I'm not going to go into details because I don't know, obviously, but they let him go. So that's where everything started to
fall apart, a little bit.
So yeah, I don't know, but what to make out of this, like Gen.G, or there have been rumors about different players joining. I think the ships thing is not happening from what I'm hearing.
I heard
it's going to be... You're hearing ships is moving to this team?
Yeah, I hear well, from what I heard, the full 5 would be Som and ships. But then again,
I mean, Som has been like even busted with like the outlet of
the closet. I'm still blown away at the fact that teams do this kind of stuff, because know somebody is gonna look into it,
like,
right?
It's not like the same level as k0nfig taking a picture of FaZe like before everything is announced, and like being seen in the reflection,
like the reflection in the airport.
That was like 2 months after everybody understood that k0nfig was, because it's like all of a sudden his Instagram stories is from like Belgrade, which is kind of odd, right? Like,
well, he's only there because we're friends, and like he's like, sure, man.
I mean, we all knew they wanted to be together. The thing is, like, I wasn't sure if they would actually like make the deal. In the end, they said that the deal was made like a day or 2 before ESL won New York. So it wasn't like clear cut that they were gonna get k0nfig for that event, but they obviously wanted. It was obvious that he was there. So I think even seeing him in the reflection didn't tell me anything. I know I literally you see on the fucking Instagram stories where every esport journalist worth his money is getting all the leaks, of course. I don't know. So yeah, back to the Gen.G thing. Do you think this is what can this team do? Can they actually break out and be like a contender in NA?
I guess we're assuming the ships and
let's do it. Yeah or nay. We didn't do a yeah or nay so far.
Use the thumbs up, thumbs down.
How do we do it? We just click it.
Is it a yay or nay?
Yay or nay for this lineup to be, let's say, contending for...
Will people see my yay or nay?
Yeah, they will see.
They'll see like a thumbs up.
Okay, I'll put this one. I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't know.
Let's go with k0nfig. Please explain your thinking on this.
I just think like it sounds like a team that could do stuff, but it also sounds like a team that could fall apart really easy. Like it's still the same players from Cloud9, like, and they tried so many different ones. They're just trying different players again, just in a different organization. I think it's gonna be the same shit show.
Okay, so I'm a little bit more positive than that, I guess. So my thing, like, if it's the assumed lineup, that I'm not that incredibly positive inclined, simply because, like, if you look back at Ships as a player, even back when he was in, like, whether it be Wendigo or even before that, he's very streaky. And I definitely don't think this is the kind of team that needs a streaky player. It can be great in some instances, and if he has a good run, then that's fantastic, and they can have a pretty decent, like, ceiling, but I think the floor is pretty damn basement level with it as well, and that's the kind of thing that worries me. I'm still not super convinced with any of these like new NA talents, like Tens, Som. Like, yeah, sure, they're like okay players.
Obo, you missed Obo. Or you're sold on it.
Again, like still, like to me, very much the jury's still out on all of these like hot prospects from NA. And if they have one super sick tournament, that's cool. But a lot of the times, for someone to be a solidified star, solidified prospect, you need to do that multiple times, and we haven't really seen that from any of these NA prospects just yet. That's the thing that kind of worries me. So there's a lot of like unanswered things. I think the core of the team can still definitely be like decent. I think they could potentially contend with contend in NA, and potentially worldwide eventually. But as it stands right now with the potentially leaked 5, I'm not super duper convinced.
I don't know why I put it up, but anyway, I just want to say that
Okay.
One of the things that this lineup shows, or this last year that Automatic had, like when you look at him in 2018, it's kind of the same shit, except maybe the first couple of months where they had a normal team. After that was pretty much the same thing as this year, just constantly changing. But he was able to like keep up that form throughout the whole year, end up like a top 20 player. So you see that and you're like, wow, this guy can like go through anything and still perform. But like when you go into the second year of that same shit, you can't keep up with that. I think like that is the limitation of every player. You can do well in a bad situation for a limited amount of time. And then even we saw like Simple this year, still insanely good, but not on the level of last year. So it really takes a toll on people, and it goes to show that you need to really make the most out of a player when he is in form. And I'm not saying that Automatic can't be in form again next year, but it will require an actual team to function and for him to get back into it, I feel like.
Personally, I mean, I said yes, basically just because Cloud9 have not done anything, so any change at this point, I mean, if it's good or bad, whatever, it's probably not going to make a very big difference, right? So that's basically why I said yes. Clearly, the old Cloud9 was not going anywhere.
You really set the bar high here, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm lowering my expectations, basically.
Fair enough.
But I mean, to say one positive thing would be about SHiPZ. I do have kind of the same reservations about his consistency. I think you're right in that. But at the same time, I don't think he was necessarily that amazingly set up in Wendigo when he was playing there, and he was doing well in that role most of the time. Sure. Like you say, he was streaky, but at least he was able to make it work, even if he wasn't necessarily the main star of the team all the time, because that was mostly Poison, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm kind of excited about this team actually having some sort of a more reliable star that they basically previously didn't outside of Automatic.
Well,
so I'm hoping that happens.
Yeah, do you think that's going to be the focal point though? Like, are they not going to like groom Som as?
I mean, I would, yeah.
Automatic sidekick, for instance, like a SHiPZ not going to get the backseat in a similar fashion, like that. There's like a lot of
Automatic could easily be like a lurker type thing, while those two Som and SHiPZ will be more of like the part of the main trio, right? Well, yeah, actually, they have to all play, right?
Automatic is still the best player.
Who do you think will up?
I guess. I mean, I'm guessing Automatic. No.
Yeah, I'm thinking Automatic. I think people say Kusta, but he hasn't been main opping for years.
I mean,
he could change back, but
the inner fanboy in me, and I'm like, summoning my inner Moses fanboy as well. I'm reaching into
the
Moses.
Kusta
yeah, I think we're the only one left on the Kusta train. But I would really like to see him go back to opping in a confident way. Obviously, like no, you can't be the one who always you can't be an opper who just constantly feels it's okay that somebody else goes out and ops in any given round, right? Like you need to be committed to the cause, and it feels like Kusta's been permanently damaged from his stint in Liquid in 2016 or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like he's still healing from that. But I'm like secretly hoping that maybe he's gotten around the bend at this point and he feels good enough to pick up the op and do it. Like again, he's a serviceable role player with how he played at Cloud9, honestly. Even if he didn't touch the op as much. But for me, I want to see Kusta op because I thought that was a lot of fun to watch. But I guess that might be more of a pipe dream for me than an actual realistic thing.
Let's go to OG because we're down to 10 minutes. We have like 3 topics left for this part. Even though we have some extra time for the first topic, so we can use that. OG Unveil roster. Everyone's super shocked when this came out. Obviously, no one knew this was happening.
Totally blindsided.
Just tell me, like, where were you when this lineup was unveiled, and how did you react?
I woke up in
first?
bed and I was like, wow, god damn, this is crazy. I've never expected this lineup.
You see, did you message Valde right away?
Yeah,
Ask, like,
bro.
what
I
the
called
fuck?
him. I was like, what the fuck, bro? What is this shit?
How did you
I
keep
thought
it a
we had a
secret?
plan. No, I was like, I think it's gonna be a good team, OG. Honestly, I think if they get enough time, I think they will be good. But I think maybe Summit is too early. It's a little bit too early for them.
Okay, so I mean, obviously you play against these teams on a daily
basis. Let's do a year or nay before we go into this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's say, is this team gonna become like a top 10?
Shit.
Is it gonna become a top 10
yeah.
in 6 months? So by summer of
6
next
months?
year.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
That's pretty okay.
Let's go but without roster changes. That's counted, right?
Sure.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I kind of want to.
Without roster changes.
Without roster changes, this
Okay,
lineup.
I changed my vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to change my vote again.
You can
Like, I'll stick it.
I can do it. Oh, hell yeah! All right.
Yeah, let's go. We have like high tech here at HLTV.
Yeah.
So let's start with Striker. He's
I said yes before you introduced the context of top 10.
Okay, but
in any case,
why not? Like,
in any case, no. I'll say why I think they will. It's just because, well, I'm basically hoping that they get past the English speaking issue, because that's always like such a massive question mark. No matter what team is like put together that has no experience with this, basically the only player that has experience with that out of that lineup is Issa, which is a little bit concerning to me, right? But assuming they get past,
probably has the worst English out of all of them.
that's also true, yeah. But obviously he has the most experience actually communicating
in
English in game, because he's the only one who actually had an English speaking team. So that's one part that I'm concerned about. But assuming that's not an issue, I just think it's actually pretty well put together. Like, as long as Issa is kind of a star that we expect him to be, and Valde goes back to the level he had before he became the IGL, I think this is a really well-rounded team. Also, as long as mantuu actually does something, right? Because that's the biggest question mark when it comes to individuals. And we have no idea about the guy and him going up against like a top 15, 20 type teams, because he's only played like around the top 30 level before. So obviously a lot of question marks, but I think individual-wise, it's really well put together.
So, I mean, yeah, I turned myself into, I guess, a thumbs down on this one. The thing that scares me about this lineup, again, if we're not making roster changes, is mantuu, and I guess that's pretty much what's on everybody's mind, because the 4 others are pretty well proven. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, how can a player been, like, usually when you see people step up to, I guess, tier 1 Counter-Strike, or tier 2 for that matter, if they're making like a gradual push and everything, you've like, you know of the player. I've known of mantuu since he played on that weird, like, multinational thingy with Dude and those guys, but like, he's never really blown me away. And everybody else who gets picked up to a team is already, like, not necessarily shocked the world, but they're made their mark. Like Poison, for instance, everybody knew that he was super legit. Cirque, people were starting to open their eyes to him. Saiwu, obviously, like, that's a given. Like, everybody who's made that kind of a jump, they've done something to showcase it. Mantuu's been at times the best player in alternate attacks, and that,
I mean, his stats are pretty sick. Like, when you look at the ratings that he puts up on a consistent basis.
Like, you're playing against unicorns of love and God knows what, right? But like, even still, then, like, there was never any murmuring about like mantuu being picked up by any other team, right? Like, he hasn't necessarily lit FPL on fire or something to that effect. So like, how does he, if he's that good, how has he been that much in the shadows for so long, when every other case of a talent coming up into the limelight, I mean, have made some sort of a noise, at least?
I think the problem is, I'm not sure how it is with him in FPL, if he's even in there or not, or if he's FPLC where he's a little bit buried. I'm not sure about that. But assuming he's not in FPL, that's obviously a place where people come up most of the time. And even through, like, sure, playing with attacks, but he's probably not going to draw too many eyes to him unless he plays in that FPL and somebody actually has like first-hand experience with the guy. And since he's like so far on the tier level with attacks, none of these teams that could be interested in like a good offer especially considering they all have to be European for them to even consider an opera like mantuu, because like no German team is going to pick him up with smooya and big and stuff like that.
Thing is, he's not even. He wasn't the full-time, like he wasn't the main opera in alternate, right? Because just looking at his stats, he has 22% op kills out of his total kills. Has like AK 38%.
Okay.
So he's not like a super dedicated opera even. So that's the weird part as well of the whole move. And as vENdetta says, like I don't know anything. I mean, I know he exists, and that's more or less it. I've never seen him play in like a tier 2 tournament or anything of those like. Because he obviously plays like MDL, but who has time to watch MDL nowadays? Right?
He hasn't been in a tier 2 tournament, has he?
I just checked the stats. He haven't even played against like top 30 teams.
See, right, like, and that's the thing that worries me. Again, like if you're playing, like if you're winning ESL Meisterschaft every season, that
doesn't work.
It doesn't work when the team he plays for is in top 30 as well.
Oh shit!
It has to be both teams, like around top 30, like around that time, but not necessarily exactly the same time.
I just checked his stats as well. Like when they're winning against teams, then all of the players in the team are pretty good. Like Chrissy is all the way up there as well. Like he's only missing a few like points on the rating, and like why didn't they pick him up instead? Like it's I feel like they're like pretty good on the team, both players.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there's just like.
I think everyone on the team is good. So it's just I think it's the fine pickup for OG, and I think he would probably be good. But I think they're trying to make him into a main opera. That's what it feels like, at least when we're practicing against them.
He probably has to, right? Because who else would play op on that team?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That like nowadays we have so many players that like to op. I guess NBK kind of ops sometimes, but on this team, like Isa is not an opera at all. While they don't remember him getting any op kills.
Not at all.
So
Alexi is like very, very low percentage. Like where he picks it up is just
he can pick it up, but it's gonna be obviously NBK and Isa and Alexi getting a bit more of the second op compared to some other teams that have a lot of players that like to pick it up. But at the same time, like Astralis had that problem, and now we see Magis Contrain dominating people with the op. So it's obviously not the hardest weapon to master nowadays, at least. But yeah. It is interesting. So here a quick yeah or nay. Would Oskar be a better pickup than mantuu? What do you think?
Is that even the question?
Okay. I mean, so obviously there. Look at Striker, a fanboy over there.
No, I was hovering nay.
You're hovering
really?
nay?
Yes.
I'm interested to hear why you would hover nay on Oskar joining OG.
Because there's too much reputation stuff. There's too much going around for some of it not to be true, right? So eventually he would probably look. I said yay in the end because I know for a fact that he would bring them to a certain level, right? But if they got to that top 10 level, I think at that point they would start looking at changes. Is basically what I'm saying.
Agree.
Yeah, but like within the premises of what we're looking at, right? Like OG as a top 10 roster.
At this point, that's why I said yeah.
Yeah, like you want Oskar in there. Like look at like with Mousesports, they became a top 5 team. They won New York. Like they've done great things, right? So if you want to make a splash, if you want to be a really good team, I think there's about the same, let's say, longevity, or like that's how you if that's how you want to look at it, you have about the same amount of time span where you can think of mantuu working as a full-time opera as Oskar can work as a functional teammate. And I think just like Oskar is a way better player. So if you're giving it that kind of like a trial test period, then hell yeah, I'm rocking Oskar all day, like over an unproven player who's been playing in a German tier 3 team.
Let's go onwards. Next topic is MIBR reportedly considering meyern for Lucas 1. And just to start it off, k0nfig, we know you had a lot of beefs with a lot of players. Did you have any Brazilian beefs? I can't remember that. And how did that go?
I don't think I have any Brazilian beef. I think all of the caralhos, they love me out there. They're my friends, most of them. I don't think anyone wants to kill me like Gen.G, but let's not bring that up. Let's keep it low.
So let's start with this. What do you think about MIBR? They're a team that has been like the time that you had at the closest to the top. They're also there. So you've seen them do very well. You played against them at that peak. What has what has been going on with them from your perspective? And yeah, let's use the overtime. So I'm calling the overtime so we can extend this topic a bit longer.
Okay, well, I'm thinking like when I played versus them, when we were pretty good in North and they were in SK and in Dignitas as well. Like they had so much, like you couldn't really peak any of the players. Like everyone was so instant, like you just got wrecked. And when they were on their peak, like no one could beat them off the throne for a while until Astralis came. And I think like now Coursera left because I think they got in some problems, and I think like there have been a lot of problems inside the team, and I think that has destroyed more than what they think themselves. And now they are kind of patching up with new players all the time. And I don't think they will go back to the same level as they were before, but they're kind of hoping for it, that it will come by switching players. And I don't think that's necessarily the solution. I think like they don't have the individual skill like they had before.
Interesting. What
Well, I mean, that's going to change with meyern, surely.
Meyern is, I've seen the, I think everyone has seen the video from the USP, like the USP clip on Deathmatch. On Švejda he put up, that was insane. Like this guy is pretty good in Deathmatch. And we played against him as well when he's playing in Sharks. In Sharks when we played in NA. And I feel like he's a pretty good player, but I don't know if he's gonna solve the problems inside the team.
You weren't in North when Sharks beat them at EPL. Was you already left at that point?
Well, I hope I left back then.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that wasn't even. He wasn't even Sharks at the time. Never mind. I'll try to find the clip so we can put it on the stream. But yeah, is it kind of a weird move though? Like this is a guy that just came into Sharks, played some like online stuff, and those lands at EPL, like the EPL regional Latin America things. What is the? Is this kind of a too early move for meyern? What do you guys think from MIBR side?
I think it's a good choice for MIBR. Like he's only 18 or 19, and he's been playing with Sharks. And I feel like the Brazilians are kind of like a family when they're playing together. Like they live the same place and all that stuff. And I feel like they're probably gonna mold him into being a pretty good player. Like Fallen is a pretty good teacher. He's even teaching players that he doesn't even know on YouTube and helping everyone out. And I think he's gonna help out meyern a lot to become like a really strong player in his skill level.
Yeah, I don't
people
think
say he's actually 17, so that's.
I don't think it's too. I don't think it's too early, honestly. Like, sure, he's never played on a massively on a big level or anything. Only now with Sharks has he been getting like some more experience. But I think he's been doing all right in these situations already. So for him to make that next step, I don't think is that massive.
I think pretty much it's like if you're good enough, you're old enough. I don't think age ever really matters. I mean, Real won a CPL at the age of 15. Like. I mean, Brawler just owned the ever-living crap out of most people at the age of 17 this weekend. So I don't think age really matters. I think this is kind of a cool move. One of the reasons why I kind of went thumbs up on this one is because it's different. It's not a recycling move.
Yeah.
It's not let's pick the nth Immortals or ex-Immortals players into our lineup and see if anything changes, because it obviously won't and everybody can see it. So at least they're branching out. They're trying something new. They're figuring that there might be something else outside of the 10 players that they've known for the last 4 years. And I think that's worth a thumbs up in itself. And I think meyern as well has showcased the fact that he does actually possess a fair bit of skill. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's too much of a downside really from trying it. If they maintain mediocrity, then okay, that's exactly where you found yourselves a couple of months ago. So what did you really lose?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad move in itself. I just think that they need to maybe even do more, like seeing meyern play at the last 2 lands that they had. It was his first 2 almost big international lands with the ECS and EPL. Both didn't go that well for him individually. Could be a lot of factors coming into that, maybe like the MIBR move and stuff like that, adding pressure. But like at this moment, Lukin, the other Argentinian in Sharks, is doing better and like significantly better than him. So why not even take both of them and like replace, at this moment, probably STYKO, who has been not doing well at all in MIBR. And then you have 2 players coming in together, because the thing I'm scared of for MIBR and for meyern is the classic like new guy coming in, even though he's super young. So you expect him to get a bit more leeway and get like nurtured by Fallen. He is like, we saw what happened to Phelps, we saw what happened to Bolts and all of them. They come in, they don't agree with like something goes wrong, and he's gonna be like the scapegoat, right? That is the thing which I think, and just for him as a super young guy that doesn't, he speaks the language, but obviously not perfectly because it's not the same language. I think having another guy along his side, which he knows from before, it would help like make the balance in the team and socially and in the game and all of that stuff. So I think that would be, if they want to do like a move, that would be the move.
I'd be on board with that.
Okay, we're finishing this off, this part of the recent news. We have the last one. Dosia and Mo are signed for 1-3. They're going to China. k0nfig, are you excited about this possibility that later in your career, or maybe 3 months from now, when you get super washed up, you can go to China and get a lot of money?
Dosia called me last night, told me that he had a contract ready for me to sign in Beijing or something like that. No, but I feel like this is something you do when you're kind of desperate, to be honest. Like they must have gotten other offers than going to China. But if they feel like this is a good offer and they want to go and they feel like they can do some damage on the scene, fair enough. But are you gonna find any good practices? Are you gonna find out how good you are before you go to tournaments? No, I don't think so. Like who can they practice against in China? Tyloo and
Vici,
yeah. It is just obviously a move to make some extra money. So obviously we're running late on this recent news part, and we're going to go to the next part of the show, which is the quiz, which is the Twitch chat smarter than k0nfig? Let's find out. Okay, so as for the new viewers that didn't watch the last time, this is a quiz where you guys in chat get to interact. You're going to be part of the show. You're going to be super important. For this show, we kind of shortened the time. It used to be 40 seconds for both people to answer, but now it's down to 30. So it's going to be a bit shorter, and as well, it doesn't add in for the Twitch delay. So maybe some people have 20 seconds, maybe some 25, maybe some 15. And that's something we can't really control. But you guys in chat, because you can Google, you have a bit less time. And I'm asking for a gentleman's agreement from k0nfig to not read the chat or open up other tabs.
I'm not touching anything. I'm only answering the questions.
Yeah, you have to click on your screen. You're going to get the link.
I have it.
The link.
It's ready.
Do I have to open it as well, or what? Okay. I have the layout thing. I have it open, actually. So yeah, the thing is 10 questions. You guys in chat pick ABC, and he's going to pick ABC. Then we'll figure out who got it wrong or right, and see who's smarter.
Okay, do I have to start it up? Press it or what?
We'll start in 5 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to warm up a little bit.
Okay. So maybe just zoom it out a bit so you can see the answers at the bottom. Do you have it open?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is, Rops was the MVP of EPL Season 10, but who was the MVP half a year ago at the Season 9 finals in France? A, Device, B, Elige, or C, Simple?
I don't even remember. But
you have 6 seconds. 5.
I pressed it.
Okay.
I have a memory like a goldfish sometimes.
Okay.
But it was right.
You both picked Elige, which is actually the correct pick, so it's 1-1 for now.
Can't beat
Let's go on.
Switch here.
Who is the youngest Furia player? Art, Vinny, or Yuri?
Oh, that's a curveball.
That's a curveball.
And you have the picture, so you can obviously see who is.
Yeah, I can. I'll try my best.
Who's the one without facial hair?
Literally almost all of them.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Then you can add some like hints or maybe like fake hints, so you can.
I trust my gut.
All right, I'm just gonna let k0nfig run this one out.
God damn! I probably messed up. Yeah.
No.
Twitch.
You actually messed up.
Twitch chatter. They are going on HLTV. These stunts.
I was about to say like who was the hottest prospects from that team, because that's usually tied in with age.
Yeah, almost. Okay, so 2-1. Yeah, Twitch picked Yuri, so they got it right, and You picked, who'd you pick?
I picked Art.
Yeah.
He's the oldest.
Actually,
he?
one of the oldest, yeah.
He's 23. I think the others are 20 and 21.
What
or
is the
19
cheapest
and 20.
buy in the game? Is it A, 2 flashes and an R8, B, a Mac 10, or C, a sawed-off shotgun? And for some reason, there's a picture of Crims here with a knife. So I couldn't find anything better.
You couldn't find anything, but I was about to say, like, that actually requires work to not find anything. Like, I thought you actually looked for something less relevant.
It was just like, I was trying to find something.
You could have just
So
picked
both-
JW anyway,
both of
just
you
because he
picked the
picked
Mac
so
10.
many different things.
Yeah.
Then it's
And
what?
it's actually incorrect
way!
because the R8 is $600. They put down the price
Oh.
after the
Yeah.
nerf. So it's total $1,000. The Mac 10 is $1,050.
$50.
Who
Yeah.
even plays with the
100.
R8?
I think it's like Snacks and Alu were the only ones to do it, and even
Whoever
they
ever picked
abandoned it.
Alu back in optics. So we're at 1-2. Both of you missed this question. We're going into the fourth one. How many HLTV featured maps has Angel played for Hellraisers? So it's either 800 to 1,000, 1,000 to 1,200, or at 1,200 to 1,400.
These
Are you-
questions, like, these are pretty hard to be honest. Like,
Are you
They're pretty
guys
hard, yeah.
including 1.6 here?
No, this is just CSGO.
Okay, because that would have been so messed up if you did.
it has to be this one. Like, he's been there for so long.
I will say that think about when Forrest and Get Right, etc. hit 1,000.
So Twitch chat went for B, and it's actually C.
Yeah! Let's go.
Nice comeback.
So k0nfig got it correct too. It was about almost 1,300 matches played for Angel and Hellraisers, which is kind of insane. 2-2 now, all tied up. We're like halfway through. How do you feel? Do you feel like, are you in the zone right now?
There's no pressure on me. Like, you guys, you're so many, and there's no pressure on me. And I'm about to beat you. I promise it.
You're literally, you're 1v100ing.
Yeah.
Just clutching 1v100 right
Come
now.
at me. Come at me.
Do you add this stat to his stat page on
Yeah,
HLTV
We
later?
will.
Oh, nice.
I'll print it out as well. Hang it on my wall.
Which event has Astralis won? So any year or season of this event, E-League, Premier, Star Series, I-League, or ESL 1 Cologne. So 2 out of the 3 they did not win. k0nfig's super serious at the moment.
No, did I press it? Yes, I did.
So then, what do you think?
What I think they've won?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm on the same train as
Yeah.
Twitch chat and HLTV.
So everyone's on the E-League Premier, which is actually correct. So good shit. I think the ESL 1 Cologne is pretty obvious that they didn't win. I think that's
Yeah.
That was a big
And I-
storyline, yeah, that
And
they
I
never
don't
won
actually
a ESL
think
one.
they ever attend Star Series, pretty much.
Yeah, they
So
tended
know
like
they're
the
on
first
have
season
the
or
chance to
something,
win.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a long time ago they played Star Series. They have a lot of tournaments like coming up. I don't think they will waste the time on Star Series. They have to practice as well.
3-3, let's go. In 2016, NIP won Star Series I-League Season 2 with Michael. Who did they beat in the final? FaZe, G2, or SK? Did you play this event?
Yeah, I think so.
This was the one in the Kiev, was it Palace of Arts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were there as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If I remember. I think it was like me and Red Eye and
Oh my
who
god, I
else?
trusted my gut here. It's probably gonna be wrong.
Let's go. So Twitch chat picked G2.
Yeah,
and
I
you
felt
picked
like it was
SK,
G2. I felt like it was G2. Fuck, man.
And it was G2.
I thought for sure it wasn't G2. Fuck me.
You lost to G2 in the semis, if I remember correctly. If I saw correctly, I don't remember anything. I was browsing through the brackets recently. So Twitch chat, getting into the lead, going into the final couple of questions. Let's see what's next. At which event did Tyloo have their highest finish? DreamHack Malmo 2016, IM Sydney 2018, or IM Beijing 2019?
It's a bit of a curveball.
Like,
These are
oh,
good questions this week.
It's
by
pretty
the
hard
way.
because I have two to choose. Like, I was playing Malmö and I played Sydney. I think I played Sydney. No, I didn't.
You didn't play this, Sydney.
No, I played the 17 Sydney. Oh, I didn't press. No, I pressed. I took C. I took C. I took C. I took C.
Okay. You both took IM Beijing 2019, which is absolutely incorrect because they finished last at that event.
Yeah.
They were 3rd to 4th at the
Sydney.
CAC, and IM Sydney was their 3rd to 4th place when they topped the group.
Sydney was that was when they had 2 good events in a row, and everybody was thinking like Tailu's happening.
Yeah.
China #1
Rest in
finally.
peace.
That was the event where Greyhound also broke out, and then like Renegades went to the playoffs for the first time, and that was like a lot of weird things happening there. And then Nifty 50, Mouse Sports, all of that stuff.
Yeah, wasn't that
Yeah.
also the crazy best of 5 finals?
3-0 by
Phase,
FaZe.
With Astralis phase or what?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
closest 3-0 of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exist winning the title there.
That was nuts.
Guardian MVP.
Ooh,
What was
Yeah,
Config's
that was a
highest
really
rated
God,
big
you
event?
do this on me? I don't even know.
Epicenter 2016, where you see him there with the MVP, EPL Season 5 Finals, or DreamHack Malmo 2017.
Season 5 where we came to the finals, yeah. And
Lost to G2, right?
yeah, we got rigged. Oh my god.
But look at the hair, though. The hair. is
Yeah, it
amazing.
has so long. Bro, I'm
You
winning
look
that
so
shit.
young, man. You look so young.
And now I'm just an old man.
Join the club.
It could have
So
been
yeah,
Epicenter.
Twitch chat picked Epicenter, and Config picked the DreamHack Malmo, which is correct. And also super nice. I juked all of the Twitch chat with the MVP pick.
Yeah.
Absolute noobs.
I swear to-
Absolute noobs. I think this is the last question, if I'm correct. Not the last question. We have 2 more. So
No,
yeah,
it should be
let's
over
continue.
now.
4-4.
I'm
Yeah,
ready.
let's go. Oh, complete the E-League Major 2018 QBF lineup. Boomic, Quick, Jemka, Valina, and Waylander, World Edit, or Waterfalls.
Easy.
That
Utterly
is
easy,
pretty
that.
easy, yeah.
The 3 WCIS players.
I don't know. I think I got it right. I hope so.
I think the chat will get this right.
QBF is a fan favorite, right?
Yeah, it is. Both of you picked Waterfalls, which is also correct. So you're all tied at 5-5, and this is the last question, right? It's a special one.
I can't
Special one.
choke this one. I can't choke this one.
Not like you choked this one in the game. Let's go. Which current Renegades player was a part of the Chiefs lineup that upset North at IEM Sydney 2017? Vince, Dexter,
This
or
was
Dick
actually
Stacey?
the worst time of my entire life, this tournament. I actually felt like absolute shit after we lost. I just wanted to fly home, and I remember the flight home was like 27 hours or something like that. But I'm probably going to win this one, I hope, at least.
Let's go. Let's see. So you picked Dick Stacey, and they picked Ince, and they are correct. It was Ince. Also,
Where did
Malta.
Dick Stacey play?
Dick Stacey played in like some irrelevant team that you never
Oh my
heard
god, I thought I played against the big dick.
of. The big dick wasn't
But-
there. It was just the small dicks, and they were enough to beat you. As
Yeah,
long as
we had smaller dicks than them.
You got the big dick from Twitch chat, though.
yeah, they gave you the big one. So 6-5 for Twitch chat. You are not smarter than Twitch chat. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, I don't know if I can finish the interview right now. I kind of want to go home, go to bed right now. I feel like destroyed inside.
How does this measure up with losing to Chiefs at IM Sydney? Which is worse?
It's actually losing to Chiefs was actually way worse than this. So I'll give it to you, Twitch chat. You won. I'll give you the win.
Okay, so that was that from the quiz. We'll move on to the next part of the show, which is the good and the bad, the ugly. We'll talk about EPL finals, break it down into different parts. So let's roll it. Okay, here we are. The EPL finals just finished. Before that, we had ECS, but that event kind of went as much as expected as possible. Like, I don't think we had such an expected outcome of an event for years. So not much to talk about there. We'll just move into the EPL finals and break it down to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And starting with the good, I guess, at least this is kind of what I came up with, but you can add your thoughts as well. mouz adding Spice to the top, obviously a team that was struggling for such a long time to actually break into the top 10. They're like 12th, 13th, and 9th and stuff like that. And now they're here. They won 2 events in a row. They're contesting, entering into the Grand Slam race. So what are your initial thoughts on the mouz sports and seeing them win twice in a row?
Like I feel like mouz sports have been trying to be good. They've been practicing a lot. I just think like the way they have to win is to listen to k0n and follow his leading. And then I heard something on YouTube, like the last rounds against Astralis or DOS2 or something like that, the last one.
Yeah.
And like it feels like they have really good synergy in the team, and they're like following this. Like it just feels nice, like listening to like the comms in game. And they have the players to be one of the best teams. They just needed to find the last 10%, and they did that in EPL. And I think like it's probably the biggest achievement for k0n in a long time, and I think he deserves it.
Just talking about that clip, did everyone watch it here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did that seem like kind of a chaotic communication at the same time? Like in my opinion, like I kind of I understood most of it, but sometimes it's like
I think
everyone's
in
just
the
screaming
moment
stuff.
for them, I think it was perfectly fine. I think it just sounded that way because it was kind of hyped and not really in line with what was happening, whatever in your head at the time. If you were listening to it while the round was actually going on, I think it would have been a little bit of a different feel. But I thought it was fine.
I think like the first, let's say, 15 to 20 seconds of the round was messy.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
everything just kind of like slid into place. Because then you notice that k0n, like it's like when k0n asks for Xbox smoke, then he asks then he like does the micromanagement for Frozen to start
Maybe we
pushing
could show
it
the
long.
clip, by the way.
And like everything like outside of them being like, guys, we're so close, I'm gonna pick B, you're gonna pick long, we're gonna do everything. Like after that like initial stage, everything kind of settles into what I figure is mouz sports like standard communication level, which is pretty damn smooth. Like once k0n and Frozen start pushing out towards long, you can tell that k0n just goes like, I need a smoke. He doesn't say where he needs to smoke. He doesn't see like from whom. He just says, I need a smoke, and then smoke's flying like from one person. Like it's not like a chaotic thing where everybody just chucks 3 smokes into cross or anything like that. They just have it pretty well thought out. Like it seems like they've gone through all of these things for it. Like it just seems well practiced. So yeah, no, overall pretty smooth and solid round, something that you would have expected out of a team like of that caliber.
I personally liked how k0n died, but was still trying to keep everybody calm and stuff like that. Calling for smokes for the cross, like when Device was in CT.
Wait,
stuff like that.
Wasn't it one of you two who pointed out the cheeky attempt at the flash assist?
Yeah. It was me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
what happened was actually like Zipnix, I think, threw a flash for Glaive on short, and Glaive swung out wide, got a kill on k0n, and got traded by Woxic, I think. Classic, like turning around for the flash with an op, no-scoping the guy. And then they went for the long grab, and then they killed Zipnix over there, and k0n was like, there's another guy there, because Glaive flashed in, but he remembered wrong, because Glaive was the guy that got the kill, but at the same time, he just said like, oh, no, forget it, because he just went on to tab, saw Glaive was dead, and figured out that he wasn't the guy throwing in the flash. But the thinking was that someone else threw the flash and someone else has to be on the A side, but it didn't happen. But you obviously see that people do that in matches nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could see at the beginning of the round how kind of hyped they were that this was actually happening and stuff like that. But
Woxic's voice is like trembling almost.
True.
Like, we were doing this, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's nice for people to see if they haven't seen it.
For sure.
Yeah,
I'll link it up if it's whatever you posted, right?
Yeah, put the audio in. We'll just like shut up for a minute so we can, for people on the audio, they can listen to it on the podcast version.
Hold lower, be careful. I'm walking in case there's low. Nice. Just chill. They won't stop B. They could go lower now. They could have climbed lower, right? Make it skip people. Yeah. Can you smoke Xbox, someone?
Yeah.
I will do it.
Holding short.
Xbox smoke flying.
One guy B.
We're gonna split A, okay? Me and Chris,
long.
me and Chris boxing short.
Okay.
Yeah? Let me go long with David. Okay, good. Robin, take the bomb.
Yeah.
Can you go slowly short?
Like by now it's fine.
I'm gonna
completely
flash
already.
mid.
Flash mid maybe. CJ, he might be flashing mid.
Yeah. Gonna flash him up mid. I think you should go in first, yeah? Because you're a long player. Nobody shot. In case he kills you. Let's take shot here. I'm blind. Piercing. Dead. I killed him. Go long, goes. Glaive flash. They're blocking shot. Just rush. They're rushing out long, boys. They survive.
Bring along also.
Keep going, David. Push. One more A. Glaive flashed. No, wait. You have smokes, boys?
Smoke, bro. Smoking.
I don't have.
Close. I have.
Robin's coming. Just
Wait,
smoke.
one guy mid. Chill.
Don't block it.
Fine.
Fine.
Side.
Step
Mid. Flashing.
Outside A. Just come, boys. 30 seconds. I'm flashing one CT. Let's cross. Yeah!
That is around. Actually, just super cool that we actually get to see these things. In general, I think it's amazing. And also, the glaive reaction after that was super intense and
It's too bad they
probably the
didn't
best
catch it
thing I
here.
saw
I'm
in
kind of
such a long
surprised.
time. What'd you say?
It's too bad they didn't catch it in this replay. You know, like that it didn't cut to Glaives like 2 seconds earlier because it was just before like he got up and stuff like that, destroyed the desk. Yeah.
But yeah, so do we think that mouz is gonna keep this up, become like they're gonna stay a top 5 team? We can yay or nay this quickly, and
okay.
fuck, I don't know what I'm very on the edge right here.
I was too, but
so who are you go? Let's go with k0nfig. What do you think?
I picked the A because I feel like when k0n is on a team and when he gets them to the top, they're going to stay there for a long time. We've seen it with FaZe, we've seen it with Astralis, but they're not going to be the best team in the world, but they're going to stay in the top. So I think k0n is going to do the same with this team. Like, they have the players to make it. They have Voxic, who is like probably the best high sensitivity, insane jumping around AWP you've seen, and he can even use AK and everything else. Like pistols, he's a real good pistol player as well. And they have Frozen and Chris J. Apparently, like he became a god again somehow. I want to know his secret. And I feel like the team is it's working really well, and it feels like everyone is trusting the system. And I feel like that's k0n's biggest problem when players don't trust his system.
I personally, I said no because just generally because of how it's kind of reliant on whether Frozen and Chris J are on. Because those two tend to be a little bit hit or miss, especially Frozen. But even Chris J, with Chris J, it happens where he goes a little bit offline, and then like in the next map, he has like 25 kills and just like keeps entering sites and getting like multiple kills and giving them rounds like on his own and stuff like that. I think they're a little bit too volatile to stay where they are right now. I'm not sure if the confidence is going to make a difference at this point. Maybe it will. Maybe they'll just do this, both Frozen and well, especially Frozen, because I think he's been missing some confidence for sure, just because of how kind of up and down he tends to be. So hopefully he's gonna step it up. But unless that happens, I don't think they will win too many more tournaments. I do think they will keep being this like upset team that's going to be able to maybe like take a title 1 out of 10 tournaments or something like that, or come close. I'm not necessarily seeing them as a consistent like title contender.
So I'm really curious actually to see that you're going with the thumbs down striker, because if I remember correctly, you have a certain bet going on.
I know. I'm not saying
Wouldn't this be your one chance to get this right?
Look, whatever I say here is not going to make a difference whether they do it or not, right?
Yeah,
that doesn't really matter.
I'm really curious.
He doesn't get the emotional investment.
Yeah,
€1,000 bets against SPUNJ,
I'm just really curious about what European lineup
Look,
you're waiting for.
Look, I want somebody to do it, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily mousesports. I have time.
But like, isn't this one of the best chances you can get?
It has like, isn't it? It's this an OG, right? More or less.
I mean, there's FaZe also.
Well, yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, how about complexity?
Well, complexity is going to show it soon, 2020, boys.
Look,
complexity does qualify.
They do qualify. That's true.
It does 3 different nationalities that qualifies.
Yeah, just to recap for people that don't know about the thing, it's a €1,000 bet between Pimp, Striker on one side and SPUNJ on the other side, where SPUNJ said no international lineup, like multinational speaking. There's like a couple of details, so don't take it like
3
super
nationalities, I think it has to be. And
strict. It has to be like not speaking the same language and stuff, like the mother tongue. SPUNJ said like no team from an international base is not going to be top 3 for 6 months consistently, and the other guys have the other side for the next 5 years.
The
I
other
think
guys
it's
are
3
crazy.
years.
Is
I
pretty
think
much
it's
what
3
we came
years.
down to.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
G2 is kinda
know
on the
what
line there.
STYKO and Pimp has been doing, but it's. I mean, I guess they just don't value money. That's
But
really
you're
my
saying
take on it.
we're not gonna get this.
God no! I said that during the podcast when he made the bet as well. Like I wanted to jump
fuck?
on Chad's side so badly. Holy hell!
Because you have the same arguments, or
As Chad? Yeah, no, pretty much. Like I don't see it
Okay.
happening. But
it already happened. How could it not happen? Like we haven't seen that much
because
of
it
a
needs
move.
to happen over the course of 6 months in today's.
I mean, it
age.
happened once in CS:GO with FaZe.
Yeah, and it's
and
happened
at the
once in
time-
CS
and
pretty much.
Ma-
Well,
Mouse
yes,
as
but
well?
at the time they were basically the only team that qualified, like on a consistent basis. Okay, Mouse Sports maybe later. No, they were later. But they're
I'm-
the only team that basically qualified that were like closer to the top that could have made it.
I'm
you know?
guessing config is
did.
on the side of this is gonna happen. I feel.
Of course.
That's what I've invested myself into a little bit.
You
I
kinda
think.
have to, yeah.
I think you invested more than 1,000 euros into that.
I actually invested my entire life, and I hope it's gonna go good for us. Like it feels like for every team that speaks a different language than the mother tongue, like you see Astralis and you see Liquid as well, and EG they have Cirque, but it's only one player. Like it's not a lot of players that have to change, and like I just hope it's gonna work, man. It's so hard for me as well to speak English while we're playing because you think in your mother language. Like I think in Danish, and I had to translate it in my head a little bit to say it to the other players in the team. So that's probably the hardest part, and communication. Some things get lost in translation as well, and that's just how it is.
From
But I think-
personal experience, though, that's gonna go away. Though, like the more I got used to talking in English, the more I started even thinking in English. Even like in my daily life. Here
When I
in
come back
Republic.
from an event, the first 2 days, I'm still like thinking in
No,
English.
I'm now thinking in English 24/7. Literally, I don't think in Czech anymore. Not even when I'm at home or anything. Like I don't, unless I'm talking to somebody in Czech. I'm not thinking in it. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I also think that the whole like you can never get used to talking your second language like properly. That's just so much bullshit for me. Just because I've been doing it for like 7 years, even before I started working with HLTV and speaking English more than Czech. So that's why I'm thinking like that cannot be such an issue.
Let's say we have Poison on our team. We have me, we have Blame, and then we have 2
Sure.
American people. And we are 3 people that has to change our mother tongue into English. And we want to speed it up as fast as possible because when we start playing tournaments, then you're gonna notice if we mess up communication-wise.
Sure.
And that's not what we want. So I want the quick fix to do it. And I'm gonna say yes to getting educated in English in America, like 1 or 2 days a week, just to become better at speaking English and communicate and express myself when we're having team talks. Because sometimes it can be pretty hard for me to talk in English and express the exact feelings that I have in my body. But in Danish, it's so easy to just say it out loud. But you have to think about it when. Like I'm doing here as well, it's hard a little bit sometimes to express what I'm thinking 100%, and that's what we want to do in our team.
There's a question in chat from the Huben Plays. He says, "Do you and Blame speak Danish when you're like in a 2vx situation, like the G2 guys do?"
We tried doing it, but I think it's better if we don't do it. Like me and Blame, we understand each other in Danish and in English, so it's pretty good. There's no miscommunication, but depends on the situation. Like we did it once or twice in practice, and we just speak English most of the time. And if we are playing sides together, then we speak English as well.
I have another question, completely off topic, but I have to ask you. Obviously, living in Texas now, are you gonna buy like a massive pickup truck and add like bullhorns to the front?
I'm gonna drive around with a Trump flag on the back. No, I don't know.
The cap as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna make complexity great, like Glaive made Astralis great. No, I'll keep buying German cars. That's the only real thing to do.
Okay, fair enough. Not sure how the complexity guys are gonna be agreeing with that. But, like, best of luck.
Thank you.
So we kind of went over mouse in general. So I guess we can move on to the other teams that the other teams that did well. I guess like Fnatic did well, but that is also their level that they have right now. So I don't think it's a big surprise, even though the thing that we can touch on just about Fnatic is their kind of lack of big players, like big star performances right now. I think at this event we saw Brolin, and then outside of that it was kind of weak.
What
From
about
the rest
record
of the
breaker
lineup.
Crims?
Yeah,
What?
you had like a half.
Yeah,
like
had a
game or
record
two
break.
from
He
Crims.
had and then the second map the third map he bottom fragged, if I remember correctly. So there's not a additional like consistent star performance. Do you think that is a worrying thing for Fnatic, or is it not even a thing?
I think that's a fluke more than I think that's more just like happenstance. Crims is for the better part of it been a super consistent performer. I think that the only real worrying thing for me is one of the players that came into the tournament with a bit of an upward trajectory was JW, and he had
A bad event.
a really bad event to start with. He kind of salvaged it towards the end with a couple of good maps, but that was more of a worry for me than anything else, really. But I don't think like long term that's a significant issue for Fnatic to worry about, really. I think they have other issues that they need to address.
Like,
I mean, have you looked at their CT side on Inferno?
yeah, it's been troubles there.
Yeah,
There's
it's
the
been
team
real
sides
bad.
of some maps, like in the final was kind of weird. Like overall, it just didn't feel like the same team we saw.
I'm gonna say this because like it kind of tags along with the mouse sports topic as well. I think in 9 out of 10 instances, mouse sports never make it to the finals, and in 9 out of 10 instances where they do make it to the finals, Fnatic play way better than what they did. That finals was, I mean, again, this is not to take anything away from mouse sports, and I think it's incredible what k0n's been able to do with that lineup. And again, it's just a testament to how good of an in-game leader he is, and also obviously how good the 4 other the players are. But I think 100% Astralis should have won Dust 2. Like, there's no way they should throw away a 14-8 lead in the fashion they did, and I think that's why you see Glaive just smashing the table to bits and pieces.
That was very un-Astralis-like, basically.
Oh yeah. It's just like I don't know.
But there's also that device round when he tried to knife.
that was so weird to me.
That was also very un-Astralis-like from them.
Yeah,
a lot of things were very un-Astralis-like because you could see them kind of like they would get double entries in one round and start like goading the crowd, being like, yeah, we're doing this. Like, they become more showmen than actual players in the game, and obviously that comes back to bite.
Which I love, by the way. And
it's cool
very defending of that.
But it looks really dumb when you then throw a 14-8 lead, right? Like that's kind of
k0nfig knows all about
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've been losing sometimes, and I've been talking some smack before and lost against Kenny. That was probably the worst one that ever happened. But I feel I like it when people are like hyping the crowd up and shit like that and yelling and so on. But don't lose after you do it. Honestly, it's the worst thing. I've tried it myself. Don't do it to yourself.
Yeah. So
it's too bad you were losing after that, because that was so fresh.
I felt when we came to the finals against G2 there, I was just like, bro, we got this.
I'll
and I'm fucking gonna say I'll fuck Kenny up. And then he fucked me up. I was like, fuck, I got fucked up. It was the worst feeling in the world. But man, sometimes you win some, you lose some, and we haven't won in a while, but we will change that in complexity.
Okay, let's go to some of the bad things, which I lined out like EG, G2, and FaZe. I think all of them in their own ways have disappointed at this event.
G2 man are just like in pure G2 fashion. They fucking almost beat Astralis, and then they lose to attack. That's the most G2 thing I've ever seen, man.
Can we add Team Liquid onto that list if you're gonna add EG? Just because of like the way they went out of the tournament, because both EG and Team Liquid completely shot their bed.
True.
No, shot the bed in their quarterfinals. So
fair. Do you want to take it with Liquid then?
I mean, it's just like it's pretty much like a carbon copy of what we saw out of EG. Just individuals just not being present. I think we had, pretty much nobody from Liquid doing much of anything. It's Elige, cool, and that was it. That was the quarterfinals. Just wasn't really too much to talk about in that sense, which is really disappointing compared to what we'd seen. Again, like you have a close bout for, I guess, your group victory, if you want to call it that, group stage victory, if you can call that with the system they have in EPL, and then you just show up as a completely different team the next day. So that was really disappointing for me, and the same thing happened with EG. And I guess EG is kind of, well, it made even more evident by the fact that they go out obviously at a 16-0 fashion on Nuke.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, you had? Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, I kind of like just wiped it out of my memory. It was a super fast map, so
it was.
Actually, just to briefly touch back on Mouseboard, this is something that I wrote together. I wrote what we learned today from the two last events, CCS and EPL. And like when I was looking through Mouseboard's run, they had like so many fucking huge streaks, like something like 8 huge streaks on like the different maps. Against Liquid, they turned on like a 3-7 on Vertigo to like a 16-12. And then they almost came back on that Dust 2 in that same series from like 4-11 down, made it to 14 rounds. They had that 16-0 streak on Nuke, like 10-1 and 10-2 in the grand final against Fnatic. Like the amount
14-8, Astralis come back on the last.
Yeah, exactly. Like the long streaks, they had the pretty fucking insane. Just to note,
they kind of did the same thing in the finals as well, though. Like if you consider the first two maps started out with 9-6 leads for Fnatic, right? And from that point on, it was like 1 or 2 rounds for Fnatic, but it was just like it was very evident that it was Mousesports all the way.
Yep.
So yeah.
So yeah, the EG thing is also from what I was looking at the stats and like kind of the correlation. It's like EG and Breezy. You can directly see a like correlation between if Breezy does well, EG are going to do well at an event. If he's not there, it's just like it's not going to happen.
Do we?
And other players can actually show up. Like Ethan have a good tournament, but if Breezy doesn't have a good tournament, it's not going to be an EG tournament, and that's it.
Do we give them the benefit of the doubt, or like did we say fatigue is a real issue for them? Like
I think it is.
Well,
they played fucking 8 events. They played 8 events
like
since 25
events in 2019 offline events.
I can check that, but they had 8 since joining EG 2.5 months ago.
Yeah, which is insane, and that's not like 7 events in the US and then 1 in EU. That's literally just
they did like one event in China. Go back to China.
No, look, I'll just run through it. Right, Newark, Malmo, Americas, which is Los Angeles. Star Series, that's Belek, Beijing, CAC. ECS, which is Dallas, and then EPL Europe. Literally, they went like across continents every single time.
And some of these had really, really short time spans, like the New York Malmo one was
ECS EPL as well.
ECS,
from
EPL,
prize
same.
ceremony to flight, and same thing with Dallas, right? More or less, or is that just for the final, like Astralis Liquid?
It's 25 events, by the way. You're right.
It was, yeah, because that's absolutely that's insane. Like that
and they're not even done.
Possible.
They have Epicenter. Right?
No, they have Epicenter coming up in like
6
yeah,
days.
Which is
Holy
also,
shit.
because that's the thing. Okay, just slight rant here. I know, like, for a fact that most of these top teams at this stage have pretty significant freedom of choice in terms of what tournaments they attend, and fair enough, you do get invites a significant amount, time ahead of the actual tournament, but how do you end up complaining on social media about how many tournaments you're attending and how it's too much and the schedules yada 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 when you've got to 25 tournaments in a year in addition to ending it? You're going home on the 23rd. Like,
I'm at the same time,
something sacred, right? Like,
allegedly they moved to EG for like massive paychecks, and then you move to EG for a massive paycheck. You just sign for them. No one cares that you did like 18 events in NRG before this. This is a new company. You have to represent this brand for the rest of the year. And then it's like, okay, you're invited to 9 events. You're going to all 9 events.
But so this is the thing, right? Because that was my initial reaction. It's like, well, some organizations are literally just going to force their players to go to events for whatever sponsorship obligations or yada yada, what have you, right? But that's more of a thing of the past, from what I understood. Just recently talking to people, I'm not sure if k0nfig could probably elaborate on this, that there's a lot more freedom amongst players to actually pick and choose what events they go to. Like, they're actually allowed to turn down invites and that kind of thing, because organizations as well realize that it's much better to have an actually rested team that can perform well rather than a team that just kind of slogs through and shows up on a roster list for a tournament. They'd rather have a team that shows up every other tournament and then actually competes to win. So yeah,
I think next year is when EG realizes this. I don't think this is going to continue because they
I
up until
every
now,
team has to do
basically
that.
up until this year, they've been kind of fighting for that top, like for that like consistent invite list, basically. And now that they've gotten there, I think they'll just realize.
I mean, they got
don't
there
need
like
to.
6 months ago, but I think
Sure,
this
but
is
I mean,
also like
they-
a EG New York thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you say, Config? Like, what is your experience from like dealing with orgs and like skipping events, and maybe you weren't in the position to skip so many events in the last couple of months, years. But still.
We made a mistake in the beginning when we played in Dignitas in North. Then we were on the road for 37 days or something like that. We went home one day at all, and we just won Epicenter or something. We just won a tournament back then, and then we were traveling so much that when we lost the tournament, we had to go to another tournament, and then we lost that one, and we had to go to another one. So we just kind of destroyed ourselves. The confidence went away, and we didn't really want to play the tournaments. You kind of just wanted to go home. When you went out of tournament, you had to stay there for 4 or 5 days. And you couldn't practice because there weren't no practice PCs, so you didn't get the good practice as you do when you sit at home or when you're in America. And I just think like people underestimate like practice, because when you go to tournaments, you can't really figure out new stuff. You can steal from other teams, but if you want to come prepared with the new stuff yourself, like something that no one has seen before, then you gotta sit down on the server, everyone, and you gotta talk about it. And I don't think people do that when they're on the run. Like EG was to so many tournaments, they probably had a stress day, a stressed month. But when they went home for tournaments, they probably didn't sit down and play right the day after. They probably had some free days and some days off, and I think that kind of destroyed their momentum a little bit.
Let's go into the last topic. We'll probably run out of time, so someone's gonna be using the overtime if you want to discuss this in depth. But the ugly part is kind of the Danes disappointing on home soil, and Heroic kind of played okay. I think we can kind of let them through, but North has been struggling for quite some time now. And then again, Astralis had it in the bag and didn't make it to the final even. So what do we think about this? Is there like a anti-home soil Denmark thing going on?
Yeah, I think so. Like we did the same when we played in North with Blast. We got wrecked, and I got wrecked against Olaf Meister in an aim duel, which should never have happened in my entire career. And I just feel like I think Astralis is kind of nervous when they're playing home soil because they want to do so good. There's so many people watching. They're probably doing some media stuff and hyping it up so bad that they are kind of expected to win. I don't feel like Astralis is ever expecting themselves to win at like tournaments where they're not in Denmark. I feel like they're taking one map at a time against the teams, and kind of if they go to the final, then they're gonna take the final and win it. But I think like in ESL Pro League, they were kind of expected to win the final. They thought that they would win this tournament. They thought they had it, but when they lost, you saw Glaive, like he was full tilt. And I feel like that's a thing that happens for all the Danish teams. Heroic, North, even me when I was in North before. That's just how it is. Apparently, I don't know. I don't have the solution for it, but I hope that the pressure disappears from the shoulders of the players, and they don't take it that hard, the loss. But I don't know, man. North, they've been looking really bad for quite some time, right? And I don't think it's the right choice to make Gate the in-game leader. I think someone else should do it. I think that's the totally wrong approach. And I don't know what they're thinking, but I hope it's gonna be better for them.
So bring back MSL is what you're saying?
That's probably gonna make them a lot better, to be honest, like team-wise, and I also think like it's gonna make the like Kjærby, like k0nfig, and if he wants to op, then Yuki is going out. If he wants to leap with AK, then Gate is probably going out. And I think like all of the players are gonna be better individually, but MSL opping, like Yuki is probably the better individual opper, but he's also been whiffing some shots for a really long time now, and he hasn't hit the heroic skill ceiling as he had before. So like they probably should go for MSL, but I don't know if he's going or not. If he wants to go, that's probably the thing.
Like if we're doing like a award season eventually, since it's nearing the end of the year, and we're talking about, obviously we talked about Cloud9 being like the most mismanaged team. Can we nominate North for that? Is that possible?
I think so.
Kinda. So do you want to discuss this? You have to call the overtime.
No, I don't want to spend time talking about North, honestly. Like,
Okay, let's forget about North.
Okay, I mean that's what we have to talk about. I guess Heroic is still like a touch and go and see what they can figure out there. This
I mean, they almost
they
took
are
the ball.
better
Was
than
it
North.
Fnatic, right? They almost took down Fnatic.
Heroic actually played well. They just had rough draws.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're on a good track.
Heroic is
Oh.
the second best team right now.
in the world.
Second best Danish team. In the world.
Okay, in the world. Okay, so next topic is going to be also tied into Denmark, and this is going to be into the Danish crowd. We'll talk about the crowd cheating and the noise cancellation and what we're going to do. So the next part is the devil's advocate, and let's roll with that one. So let's go. Obviously, very hot topic these days. We saw that it was a semi-final. There's a situation where Zipnix was looking up for a boost in the connector and overpass. He kind of looked one way, the crowd reacted, then he looked another way, and then he looked back, and people were like, okay, what is going on? The crowd is kind of telling him what's going on. So we're going to be talking about, do we need to bring back boots, and talk about the whole situation in general. But for this topic, we're going to pick vENdetta did volunteer to be the devil's advocate and take the route of no boots. We're staying as we are. And then the rest of us are going to fight for the other side. At least we'll try with some reasonable arguments. So let's just start up with does someone want to recap what happened and what the issue was?
Well, I mean, just generally, the big issue that people talk about doesn't even matter what really happened at EPL, particularly because it just keeps happening. At every event, it was just a little bit more obvious at this one that, like, players obviously are able to pick up some tells, like, trying to spam walls or even like just looking at walls and stuff like that, and like trying to get a reaction if they know the camera's on them, or like if they're in a 1v2 or something, like they can try and work off that. 1v1, especially like if somebody's diffusing, like a player is, the crowd is making a noise and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of tells that you can pick up off the crowd even without looking at them, just from the noise itself. So that's basically the problem, right?
So k0nfig, as someone that actually is currently still at least somewhat good in CS, not unlike vENdetta and Striker and me, obviously. What is your experience from playing on these in the booths and not in the booths and stuff like that? Do you use like some of these tricks that we see people use in games?
I hope I don't get banned right now, but I usually like HE shit to listen. If they look at my HE, I know I'm hitting someone with the HE, and then I'm calling one guy over to me. Where if I'm playing a side alone, then I'm saying, yo, come and help, they're here, they're coming soon, they're setting up for grenades. Or if you're flashing somewhere and you can hear in the speakers that the flash explodes, then you know that they're blind and you know that someone is near you. So you use it to your advantage all the time. And I think like when you're sitting at home, you can't use it, and I don't think it should be a possible thing to use at tournaments as well. Like giving an indicator, like you see Shocks and all these type of players, even myself, shaking the aim at the wall, spamming sometimes. And if the crowd says, yeah, then you know, bro, he's right here, and I'm going to shoot him in the head through the wall. And I don't think that should be an option in Counter-Strike. Honestly, I think that's messed up. And also, like, there was like a tournament where someone was like yelling A B all the time. That should be like, if you're doing that kind of shit, fucking leave, bro. Get out of here, honestly. And I think like it's gonna be removed if everyone had booths where the glass is like black on your side, so you can't see out, but they can see in. That would be the perfect solution. But it removes some kind of player thing. Like you don't really feel the players as much as you do when we're sitting at the desk and you can see every movement. We're gonna be boxed in, of course, and that's the only problem I have with it.
Did you play like, what kind of boost did you play in? Like, what is your experience of boosts? Did you get anything through still, even though you had boosts at some events?
Like DreamHack, I mean, it's the only one basically.
Star Series also had them in events, and I don't know.
But they weren't
PGL, the PGL Major in Krakow. You played.
They weren't soundproof though. None of them, as far as I remember.
Well, the Minsk one, weren't they soundproof?
I think we played like DreamHack tournaments, and we played the ECS as well in the booths, but they were in the crowd because we lost. That wasn't that good. But like just the booth at who was it? I think it was we haven't played in booths in America because there's a fire code or something like that, so we
Yeah,
can't.
yeah,
play
That
Okay.
also
this.
depends on like which state it is and which city it is. It's super complicated.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so
a
that's
lot of
that's
places
a
you
problem
can.
as well. But I just feel like the booths are better, like totally better, because you can hear claps, you can hear everything. Like I was sitting at Blast, right, and I was sitting next to the confetti fucking explosion, and when I was playing against Olaf, and then the confetti fired up, and I got this biggest shock out of my entire life. I thought I got killed at the tournament, and the same thing happened. I am Katowice. I was standing behind that fucking fire shit, and it fucking blew up, and I was like touching my back of my head because it smelled burned. I was like, bro, this guy just fucking burned my hair off. Am I bald? Do you have a bald spot? Like I think boosts are the most safest choice. That's my
Mostly because of the confetti and the fire.
Yeah, I don't
It's
want to
not in the
die. I don't
booth.
want to sit to play video games and die. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to play and win, bro.
Okay, so what do you say then? What is the issue with booths? Why-
Okay, so but straight off the bat, the fact that booths. Well, okay, so we could go with the obvious one, which is fan interaction, right? The fact that one of the very unique things, and this is again to help out TOs, because one of the things that TOs want to promote to whenever linear media they're trying to sell the rights to or trying to promote esports for, it's the kind of like the connectivity that you have between the actual players, the professional players, and the fans, the people in the arena, people at home. The fact that it's not such a segregated thing where you have seen Messi from play at Camp Nou from about 200 meters distance because you're stuck in the nosebleeds. Here you actually get the chance to shake the hands of k0nfig once he's done with his game, because you can actually move forward to the stage, and they're actually going to be walking about over there. Well, if you're in a booth, you're actually just going to be guided by some tournament admin into the booth from the backstage area and then guided out of it, and the fans actually never get to see or interact with you in any sort of way. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that you're trying to sell an experience, and that becomes really hard, especially if you have like the ultimate setup, which k0nfig mentions. It's these I guess it's two-way mirrors, right? One-sided mirrors that have basically not allowing the players to look out, but only the players or fans to look in. You're not ever going to get a reaction out of the teams in the same kind of fashion as you do, like for instance, this weekend, right? You're not going to get k0nfig looking like he's trying to be the gladiator at one point and having Ragin hype him up in the background, because they're just going to be sitting in their booth having no idea what's going on in the outside, just being like giving each other fist bumps, going on about their day, which is not engaging whatsoever. So I think from a tournament point of view, to sell a product and to sell like an experience for the people coming to the arena who actually spend money on tickets and maybe flights, hotels, and all that kind of stuff, it takes away a lot from the whole experience. Like, you might as well watch at home at that point, because what's the difference? You have about as much connection with the pro players as you would from a Twitch stream.
But the problem is with this, I'm going to counter that, because the problem is what you're saying is this is going to go away eventually, no matter if the booths are going to be brought in or not, just because of the security at events that has been going up almost like every single year. Like, people have a lot less access, or at least a lot less events. They have access to the players. Like,
I mean, doesn't every tournament have walk-ins nowadays?
You have walk-ins, yeah, and
well, that's going to go away, though. I think
you still lose the visual interaction between fans and players. So let's say k0nfig wins out a 1v5. They're just hype as shit. Does the craziest sequence of kills you've ever seen in Counter-Strike, and he sees the reaction of the crowd. Fuck yeah, he's gonna get excited about that. If he looks in,
if he's gonna win a 1v5, he's gonna be excited. No matter
I'm walking out the fucking door of the booth, fucking yeah.
but
maybe we need to allow that between rounds. People can go out of the booths.
Yeah.
So right, the thing is, if he's just looking into a black mirror or whatever you have it, in front of you, it's just that's not going to instigate any sort of emotion. He's going to get hyped amongst his teammates, but think about how much cooler that moment is if he gets to interact with the crowd, play off of the fact that they're hyped as shit, or if he's playing in hostile territory. Let's say he's playing in France and he just beat the shit out of G2 or Vitality. Then he gets to feed off the fact that the crowd is hating on him, all those kind of things. Those things disappear completely, which is a big shame. And then obviously you have the logistic part of it, which is you guys already mentioned the fact that just fire codes are, I think, in most places where there's actually viable tournament spots, I guess, or where it's possible to have big Counter-Strike tournaments, they're not going to allow these kind of booths to just be in use. That's just how it is. So you can't have it where you lock people in booths. I think it's better to find like a set way of doing it, so you do it equally for most tournaments instead of just having every time you go to America, it's free season, like everybody can do whatever they want because they don't have booths, and then you go back to certain places in Europe and then you have booths. So you think you need to stick with one thing and just make it a norm out of it. And from a TO point of view, if the crowd is again doing making noises or giving away information, then you have to police the crowd and the people who are actually
but it's impossible in a lot of situations, man.
I don't
it's
think
too
you can
much,
take it
too
away.
big of a reaction a lot of the time.
I mean, again, you can try, and
Sure.
I don't think there's been any concerted effort from TOs to actually try to do anything about it.
I'm not sure if the crowd is the problem. Is like it sounds like a one big eruption, right? But it's obviously like individual people just going, oh, and then obviously when 10,000 people do the same thing, like it erupts, right? But like you can't stop those reactions. Like you can't tell them, oh, don't react if you see a play happen.
No,
it's
of course not.
impossible.
But I also think like in those situations, like with the Civnix thing, it's also a case where one player is onto something, 9 others are just perpetually confused.
Yeah, that is
Because
except
it's like,
if it's 1v1 and one is sticking the bomb in the smoke.
Yeah,
right.
Of course, yeah. Like that's like a very unique experience, or like
to be honest,
scenario.
like smoke diffusing is so bullshit. So in a way, I'm happy you can't do it on LAN. I mean, you can do it, but it's much harder than it should, as it actually should be. Like just going up, like you're in a 1v1. This guy like makes the best positioning, goes into like some weird position you would never expect him to be. You come in, you throw the smoke, and you go full diffuse, and he has to give up the position. Like that part of a 1v1 is bullshit, in my opinion. So the fact that you can do it, in a way, I'm pro that. So I'm just joining the vENdetta guard here. So
yeah.
So we have 2 devils now.
also the thing is, I think what Striker is going to say, his next argument is like there's 10,000 ways people can actually cheat if they actually want to cheat. Like having people in the crowd do like signs that are not obviously A or B signs, but like I don't know, whatever, and they can flip him. They can have all of these signs. And then you have to do the black screen so you can't look outside. Yep. And then even if you have the best soundproof booth, then it also has to be like anti-vibration because people start like clapping and stuff, and that is going to be felt through the floor.
I mean, that's a little bit different.
It is, but let's see these like people want to say that crowd should not be able to affect, like it is the only way you can have it like completely separated is to actually just like remove the people from the stage and put them backstage. And then that's an absolute ridiculous thing. Then what is even the point of the whole arena? People just watching on a screen. Sure. I mean, yes, you get the fan interaction, but it's not actually interacting with the people playing. So you have to draw a line somewhere where you allow like some degree of like crowd cheating, let's say. It's always going to happen if you want to have people on the stage, or you're going to have like some like ridiculous, super expensive booths traveling around the world every week or 2 weeks, which are super expensive to put together, to assemble. You need like specialized people and stuff like that. So that is like the level of that is kind of insane for me, and I don't think that's going to happen like ever.
Not in the current state of CS. Not with like 10 different organizers putting together 30 big events in a year or whatever the number is. That's obviously not going to happen anytime soon. But as we kind of probably like turn towards a more like one organizer type thing, like that's probably going to be a more realistic. But I agree with all of that. Obviously, the technical side of it is the most difficult one. You can always try. You can't really tell how much the fans will actually like see this as an invasion to their access to the players and stuff. If it's only like clear booths and you can still see the players, maybe they can't see
then
you,
those aren't,
you can see them, right?
I doubt that those like clear booths are super soundproof though, because of the things that we had at the Berlin major, they still had like soundproof, like the mouz
Yeah,
No,
noise
cancelling
cancelling.
headphones. So those are just like booths, but not actual soundproof.
No. Well, that depends. Like if you watch the TIs, those have very, very clear ones, and they are soundproof. They use just normal.
Well, you say that, but like there's been multiple. Well, Gen.G has said that multiple occasions they could just hear the crowd easily, even through those soundproof booths. So
they should just make the perfect headset. If they make the perfect headset, then it would be fine. Then we don't need booths. We need some sick noise cancellation.
But isn't the microphone the actual problem?
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
you can,
a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's because like what gaming headset microphones are absolute garbage. So if you're gonna make the best noise canceling headset of all time, you might as well swing on a little bit more than first price level of.
Yeah, I know a lot of like I think at DCS people are also complaining about the microphone on the headset, even though it's like a noise canceling headset, so it's a specialized thing. But the microphone on it was apparently super shit. So
that's typically how it is at every single tournament. Like the microphone, one day you come to a microphone that's working nice, the other day it's like shit. You can't even understand what your teammate is saying. You have to figure it out before the game. It's kind of stressful. That's just how CS is. Like every single time you go to a tournament, there's gonna be problems. You see technical pauses all the time. PCs, monitors, everything can break. But you need to find the perfect headset. Then this problem is sorted.
Okay. Other people that are like people in the chat saying like the only person like from the players that I saw saying like stuff against the boots was actually Kenny S, your dear friend k0nfig. I saw like maybe Moses and a couple of other people. Otherwise, it's just the most players are sided towards the boot thing. But I don't know. It's like players just demand things.
It's more like for my experience, I want boosts, but for the viewer experience, I don't want them. I'm talking about myself, but I understand 100% that the viewers are gonna get more out of it watching me sitting at a desk instead of I'm sitting in a container with a piece of glass in it. That's at least it's more fun for the viewers to see me play like real time. I'm not behind a wall, sitting behind a piece of glass, and I like playing in both, but there's always ups and downs with both sides, of course.
Yeah, like there's this pretty significant disconnect between what TOs want or what they want to do and what's competitively viable, right? So if the players could choose, like this goes to everything about Counter-Strike. Like if players could choose how the maps we play today look, it would all be gray blobs or blocks with great visibility. There would be no unevenness in the ground, and you literally have a fantastic game to play, but it looks like shit. And this is the same thing goes for the booth argument. The fact that if the players could choose, obviously they don't want the outside help because it can swing against them. So they want to win on their own merit. So they want to sit inside the most soundproof thing you could ever imagine, only relying on themselves against their opponent to win a tournament. That's always how it's going to be. Like people who want to be competitive, they want to play at the fairest measures possible. But that's not necessarily going to be the most sexy option for a TO that's actually trying to make the wheels go around. And that's what people need to consider.
So let's do a short yay or nay. Do you think that in 2020 there is going to be a shift towards more boots? So yay is yes, nay is no, as the words say. Why did I say yay? I don't know. But I feel like
the
players crying is gonna make more people pick up booths.
But it's gonna take a bit longer than 2020. It's probably gonna be like 22.
I think they're gonna put boots, but the boots aren't gonna be like super good boots. They're just gonna be boots for the purpose of having
for the sake of boots. Yeah.
They just look cool.
Fair enough.
Doesn't really work.
And then people won't complain about it on Reddit and stuff.
Yeah.
If you think about it, DreamHack retired their booths, right? The boxes.
Yeah.
Completely. They're not even using them in.
Didn't they make some new ones like with the containers?
Yeah,
the
old ones were
containers.
containers.
Booths or something.
The old ones were the containers.
Yeah, but I think that they said something about making like new ones that are portable that they can actually bring along to events or something like that.
I don't know about that yet.
Okay, but yeah, no, I think like I don't see this happening anytime soon. At all. And I think that like it's only going to remain quiet even if they make like these makeshift boxes that look like soundproof booths. It's only going to take one pissed off player who has an unfortunate happening at an event where it's just like, oh, these booths aren't soundproof at all. I can totally hear what's going on for the shit shows to start again. So.
Fair enough.
Let's go into the last segment, which has the best intro ever. Playtime, we'll just discuss Blast, Summit, and other things. Maybe take a few questions to finish off the show. So where do we actually want to start with this one? Blast or Summit? What are you guys more excited about?
I was about to say what's first, but they're going on at the same time.
Yeah, classic
same time.
CS schedule.
I would go Blast. That's probably the most exciting one, right?
Yeah,
So depends, but yeah.
So yeah, what is the at Blast we have Astralis, FaZe, NIP, Liquid, right?
Yep.
4 teams. It's a double elimination kind of a bracket. What do we expect to see there, and why is that tournament even important? Is it an important tournament?
Look, one angle from which it is an important tournament, a really important tournament actually, is the question of who you have as the team of the year. Basically, I think
does that change
your answer? I mean, sure, that's what I'm about to say, right? Your answer already now depends kind of on how much you value Astralis' majors, right? Because Liquid theoretically have more wins in total. They have 7, 6 of which are big, but obviously no majors. Astralis have 5, 2 of which are majors. 3 of
so where do you stand then on the Liquid or the Astralis side? Like I can see people standing on both sides.
Yeah, same at this point.
The thing about me, and again, there's nothing to take away from Liquid at all, but a lot of their big wins came in a period where Astralis weren't competing, and that's obviously the fault of Astralis. But again, like and I guess this might be recency bias, but to me, it's how you kind of close out the year as well. That matters a lot in terms of whether you can crown the year as yours. And Astralis are definitely doing better in that category than Team Liquid.
What do you say, Config? You're nodding over there.
Totally agree. Like Astralis,
classic Danish bias.
I'm trusting Astralis on this one. Like Liquid is playing really good, and they've never played this good CS as they're doing. Like this past year, I think they've been playing really, really good CS, winning tournaments like left and right. And I just think they have I think like Astralis is gonna win the Bahrain tournament. It's not in Denmark, so they're gonna take it home.
But then is this Astralis' year? Like when you look back at 2019, will you say this was Astralis' year? Like I mean, obviously it's not gonna be as 2018 one when it was super clear. But there has to be one team that was better in the calendar
I'd say
year.
For a lot of the same reasons that Event just said, I'd say it is Astralis. Also from the side of how long they were on the #1 spot. They were over a half a year total now, I think. Just over, or very close to it, I think. While Liquid had maybe 4 months and the rest was like split with EG and I don't know who else. If there's even anybody else who was on the #1 spot at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, but Liquid generally had like maybe a month less or something already now. So I guess that's already like a part of how you could answer that question. Just whoever had the #1 spot longer, or like average, who had the better ranking on average, which I'm pretty sure must be Astralis. So from that point of view, I guess you would have to give it to Astralis, especially because Liquids was basically in that, as Ben was saying, in that like period where I think it wasn't just about Astralis, missing, but the entire scene was a little bit off. Not the same teams always were always at the same tournaments. It
was like the Furia.
Yeah, exactly.
Furia Vitality era.
Vitality started coming up. We weren't sure at the time how good they were going to be. Same with Furia. Obviously, they dropped off, and Liquid's success came partially as a result of that. So that's also why I would say Astralis, because I think they dominated in the more competitive tournaments as well, outside of just being the majors.
Yeah, I will also add like the fact that if you think about the head-to-heads that Liquid had versus Astralis, right? The only head-to-heads that Liquid won was pretty much iBuyPower Masters, Blast in Sao Paulo, and Miami.
Sao Paulo was still won by Astralis, so that doesn't really.
And then they won the Season 9 finals versus Astralis. But since then, so pretty much from the midway point, pretty much the
second part of the season,
second part of the season, it's been all Astralis all day,
5
every
in a row
day.
now.
And that Pro League was like a 3-map 16-14 vertigo.
They were close. The last two were close as well. though, like for Astralis.
They do mean well. The ECS one, yeah. I mean, Vertigo was overtime, but outside of that, like I think Nuke Industrial was pretty okay.
The last one was really close though. Like it was for 16-14 the last map, so obviously could have gone either way. So it's not like the Astralis have massively dominated the matchup like they did in 2018.
Yes,
but still, like win-wise, they still have a lot more than Liquid do.
Yeah.
So I think that's more or less. I don't think we expect much from FaZe or NIP. Like both are kind of okay-ish teams at the moment, but like
I guess
in this context, they seem
really high. I mean, again, like during Copenhagen, they played really well. Like they played super solid Counter-Strike. But the fact is, they didn't do that at Pro League. But you can't really know what that team, which is I guess a kind of a cop-out answer, but that's just how they've always been, right? Like it's the.
I think Olaf being really bad at Pro League was a big factor. He had a terrible event.
By the way,
like Cold didn't have a good one either.
Real quick, are you guys convinced by Brokey?
He's still shaky. You can still tell that he's very new on the scene. He still makes like weird, questionable decisions and like
does his contribution from an individual point of view make up for not having a proper game leader in that team? Is pretty much what I'm getting at. Yes or no?
I don't think that's even I don't think that's a give or take. Like, what is the in-game leader that they would have instead of him?
Well, I mean,
MSL.
Obviously, yeah. MSL. I mean,
it's not gonna happen. That would never work. That's the dumbest thing ever.
So here's the thing, like, so you say MSL would never work, but surely some of these egos would have to have been knocked, 9 pegs down.
But that's not about. I don't think this is about ego necessarily. I think it's more about the styles because
the styles for sure. Even if it's not ego or it is ego, the style is always going to be there.
Like Nico's not going to listen to MSL, micromanage or even Olaf and stuff like that. So
you kind of contradict yourself. Like Nico's never going to listen to MSL. Well, why wouldn't he? Like if it's just a style.
Well,
thing.
Just saying
did he kick Godby out of mouse sports?
because he's an individualistic player, right? Well, that's not necessarily
that's
ego.
Not stylistic.
That's play, right?
That's not stylistic. Like
I mean, if you think that you have to just frag out to be a good team, then it's a stylistic thing.
Again, like if you have lesser of an ego, you're willing to adapt. Therefore, you're not locked into a certain way of playing. That's like.
But it's not even. Well, it's like also just you can say that ego is thinking that you're smarter than this guy, so you have to play your way. But at the same time, maybe you just want to play your way because your way is better for you and the team that you have. It doesn't have to be an ego thing. I mean, it can be, depending on how you kind of approach it.
If none of the results really back that statement, then is it really anything but ego?
I don't know.
But
I don't like the classic cop out that he just has an ego
in this case.
Even though he obviously has an ego.
Yeah, I understand your point. I understand why you're calling it an ego, but I'm not sure I would call it that necessarily.
I'm not saying like this is like a Nico thing alone at all. I'm not going to try to single him out as a sole.
So Rain is a problem. You're close to them, so you have inside information.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
No, I think Rain is the only one who could work under MSL.
I think
no, Rain is fantastic, but I guess the only Rain is so adjustable in the sense that it might become an issue. The fact that he doesn't have a strong opinion about much of anything at some points. Like he's too agreeable with things. That could probably be the biggest negative about him.
From what I've heard as well is like from inside information in the CS scene, I heard that Rain is probably one of the best players to like play with and call with. He's a robot. He's just doing what you're telling him to, and he's doing it really good at the same time. And he isn't questioning anything. And I feel like that is a really, really underrated thing to have on a team, like a player that doesn't give a fuck about stats, or he just does his thing and he does it really well, and he probably gets appreciated inside the team, but sometimes out of the team you can see like, oh, he was in a little bit of a slump. That's probably because he was sent in first, or he did his role, but he didn't get as many kills as he would like before in FaZe. And I feel like this FaZe Clan team could work out, but like they're missing some things. Like they're missing an in-game leader, and they don't have like a real AWPer. They have like so many different players that can AWP, and I feel like it's gonna take them a bit like 2 steps forward and 1 step forward and 2 back, because they don't have a consistent AWPer, and you can't really rely on that one guy who's gonna hit the AWP shots every single round at every single tournament. And
like the AWPing, sorry. I thought
No
you were
worries, no
finished.
worries. I'm finished now. I don't want.
I just say I looked into like one best of 3, and the opping distribution is a complete mess. Like Nico 10 op kills, Coldzera 9 op kills, all of 8 op kills. Like what the fuck is going on here? Like everyone's getting the op, and I think actually like Brokey could like he has the things to be like a passive opper to help out this team and do like a job, like similar to what Guardian used to do. And he's not getting anything. Like he's not getting any room. He's just playing as like a complete support player on this lineup, which maybe it's bad, maybe it's good, maybe that they think this is the best way. But the thing, what you said, why we went into this whole like derailment is I don't think they said, like Nico directly said, that they talked with people about Alexi and they figured out that is not a pick for them. And then other than that, there are no like in-game leaders that would potentially, you don't know who to pick up. It had to be a gamble again, like a massive gamble of someone to grab someone.
I wonder. I would really like to know what the reservations against Alexi were.
I think if you put like 2 and 2 together,
Yeah, it's
Alexi
Alu, right?
played in Ents, Alu in Ents, Alu was in phase. I think that's how the information got distributed.
But what the information was, right, is what
I mean. It's the same information that got him kicked out of Ents. We don't know what it is, but
exactly.
it's the same thing.
Probably.
Yeah. So Som signed, as we knew, to Gen.G. Just coming in right now, fresh news.
Okay.
And Sick as a stand-in though. So potentially we could both be.
Are we thinking that he's a stand-in because Ships needs to get his visa sorted?
Could be that. Maybe it's like a stand-in trial. Who knows? But
Sick of all players. Again,
like this seems like
nice guy, but that's a person who was in the same team as Twist, and he was prospected to be the bigger talent, and he's. But if he's moved sideways, that might be nice, but definitely not an upward trajectory on his career.
Yeah. I mean, I just a short tangent. I remember thinking when Cloud9 added Automatic from that TSM team, I was thinking like Sick is so much better than Automatic. Why are they picking up Automatic? What the fuck is
everyone
going
thought
on?
that though.
And then suddenly, Automatic just fucking spirals out of control, becomes like by far the best player of that team.
I mean, as a region that you're probably not going to watch those matches, maybe catch a couple of them. Just looking at the stats, Automatic wasn't the player that, at the time that was super exciting. But
oh, sure.
I guess his personality and what he brought in the server was, and then he exploded. So I don't think anyone, like many people, saw him except the people that like followed in depth that he would be the better pick. Anyway. We're down to like 3.5 minutes. We have to go to Summit. Well, not physically, but like talking about that. 6 teams. They have that stupid format, which you can all agree is mega bad.
I like it in this case, though.
Yeah, there are some positives, but like they play best of 2, everyone with everyone, round robin, and top 4 out of 6 go into the playoffs. So Virtus Pro is getting eliminated, and one more team, and yeah. So who is it? Who is it gonna be? It's OG. Who do we have?
It's
OG Mouse Sports,
G2, Furia, and MIBR.
There you go.
There we go. Who is going out of the groups with Virtus Pro?
MIBR.
G2.
I'm gonna say MIBR.
I'm G2 or Furia.
We're all over the place on this.
Yeah. So
why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, why not MIBR? I'm just gonna ask. Why not OG? I'm just gonna ask.
I mean,
I guess that's
everyone's so excited
pick, right?
to see them. No one wants to see them.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think they will win a few matches. Like no matter how they play, basically. Like I think in this kind of format, they're just bound to win something.
Do we think Virtus Pro take a map off anyone?
Yeah, I think so. I think anybody will pick up like a win.
Who do they take a map off of?
They easily take one off Furia, I think.
I mean, they're not even that bad. They had some good results, but
literally anybody will pick a map off OG, or just could at least, because we just don't know.
Yeah, we're just guessing when it comes to OG, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's like OG also has the thing that no one knows their map pool, so they can navigate into like the
they
maps
might have
actually
2 map pool for all we know.
Yeah,
I know
what kind of map pool they have.
Barrett, spill it now.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, like obviously, like, do they play more than 3 maps, as far as you know?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what would be funny? That somebody just brought this in chat, like with the rumors about Virtus Pro getting Avantgarde, and Avantgarde actually playing this tournament.
Yeah, but I think Avantgarde aren't they? They're an epicenter.
Yeah, but that's later though. That's later. That's 3 days after. Or 2 days. They have time to travel.
Yeah, you could do the classic,
So technically,
run from prize ceremony to airport thing, which
Unless
is
they're
apparently
not at
hot.
the Bosnian tournament, right? No. Never mind.
No.
Oh, the QI thing?
No, no.
Key?
And but the thing is, like, this is West Coast to fucking Russia, not East Coast to Copenhagen or like stuff like that.
Pretty
This will
rough,
be
yeah.
a super long flight.
It was
It'd
like,
be
what? It's like an 11-hour time difference, right?
Something like
It-
that, yeah.
It would be awful. So I hope they're not doing that. That would wreck them completely.
It
But at the same
whatever.
time,
Would be,
It would be just funny, like a fun turnaround, you know? Just like a completely different team turns
it's just
up
like,
to the
yeah,
tournament.
versus pro, and it's like, Jay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Look, the exciting thing about Summit is obviously getting to see OG playing fucking 10 maps against all kinds of different styles and teams. So that's the exciting part for me, and that's why I said this format. In this case, I actually don't mind it just because there's a team that I really want to see play as many maps as possible just to get a good idea
Yeah,
of
Mouse is doing
of how
both
they
of those
play.
events.
Yeah, true.
Someone just pointed out in the chat that I think Mouse is going to kind of suffer in these couple of last
Oh,
events
yeah.
of the year,
Yeah.
especially after this big win going to Summit. They don't give a fuck.
Well, I think they can win Summit, but I don't think
They could
they're gonna
easily
win
like
Epicenter.
fucking roll over this
To put it
tournament,
that way.
honestly.
What's
Depends.
weird to me is the fact that EG is not at Summit. They're actually not going to an event.
True.
And they're
That's
going,
pretty
to,
crazy.
they're going to
That's
Epicenter.
crazy.
They're going to Epicenter, but they're actually giving themselves like a week to breathe.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So- In the chat, we're getting an important information. Blame F is here, sending
shit.
config to bed. Says you have important practice tomorrow. And they're
Yeah,
kinda,
practice at 11:40.
Ah,
Oh,
damn.
that's about when I leave for Bahrain. Jesus.
Yeah, I was about to say that's actually 2 hours after I've had to be at the airport to fly to LA.
Yeah, well, we just
We
have
have plenty of
practice.
time.
I don't have any tournaments to play. Not yet. It will come.
2020 year of complexity.
So yeah, that's kind of it. We went through everything. We managed to get it in a decent, reasonable time. A couple of hot takes overall. I think it was pretty good. Did you guys enjoy yourselves?
Had a good time for sure.
Actually, yeah, I some memories got brought up. Some bad memories got brought up. Like I've
Lost the Twitch chat.
Yeah, like it hasn't been a perfect day, but it's been fine. Like it's been okay. I would
Okay.
probably do it again sometime if you ask me.
That is nice. That's
Cool.
good.
That's
to
good to
hear.
know.
So you can maybe take on Twitch chat revenge, like a revenge match there.
Yeah, you need
We
to
can
make
bring it
this
if we need to, you know.
Just send them the question. So yeah, that was it. Striker, do we have what is the 15th? Not the 15th. What
No,
is the
16th should be. I think if we do the next show between what is it,
events.
Summit and Epicenter, it has to be 16th. We're not 100% on that yet, but I think we will do a show then.
Do you guys hate chat? Is that it? Because he's gonna be on a plane back home, isn't
that's
he?
that's the problem. But we have to. He's the main one. We have to work around, right? Because I'm going to be back on the 15th. Prof has no events anymore for the rest of the
Yeah.
year, so it's like
Chad-
we
Chad
just have
was
to work
sick.
around him.
Coming off of VPL, he was sick like halfway through that event anyway, so he bailed on this episode, but he should be back for the next ones. Potentially, we'll see. Maybe we just replace him with me now, and I get the extra money. Thank you, Martin. You know my account. Thank you very much. So see you guys, and stay tuned. Anchor.fm/HLTV for the audio podcast. Follow the YouTube, subscribe, Twitter, whatever all of the classic things. We're available everywhere. And see you next week, hopefully.